No.
Hello, hello. Surprise! A voice you didn't expect.
Guys, Mars is unfortunately feeling under the weather today. She went to work and she left work because she was dumb and shouldn't have gone to work in the first place. Hello, Mason. And thus she is taking the day off. And we may get a cool thing with Dichotomy's phone icon eventually, if it'll
A
finally
cool
load
thing?
up. Yeah, I
Wait,
spent
there's
some
more?
time. I spent some time doing a thing with your icon, with your avatar. That's the word.
Oh, I'm excited now.
Well, unfortunately, it's apparently rather large for the program that we use, which is sad because it's like a very basic test run of
Okay.
what how I might upgrade Mars and my avatars in the future.
Oh, okay.
But I will say that apparently the file is much larger than I expected.
That's unfortunate.
And so it is.
Well, this was all also very last minute for you as
Yes.
well, so.
Yeah. I'm actually going to move you over here on the side. So that if it does work, it'll be cool. And if it doesn't work, I guess I'll just let it sit overnight and see if it'll finally upload or not. I don't know.
Hopefully so.
How many kilobytes?
I'm realizing being over to the side is much better, of course, because then every time I talk, it's not getting in the way of the art. But
Yes.
It would be very funny if Mars was here, because I would bonk her in the head every time I say something.
Well, if it was reversed, then it would look like she's picking up the phone, which could be an interesting sort of thing for future-related stuff. But yes,
Also true.
you're a bit more animated in the thing that I'm trying to upload. However,
Interesting.
All right. Because we're not talking about anything. Guys, this is Comic and Chill. Mason, Pastry Puff, hello. We're just vibing today. I'm doing stuff maybe and things. I don't know if Dichotomy's doing any stuff or things or just chilling. But we're going to talk
I finished everything I needed to actually do.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. I never finish. There's always more stuff to do. This is never
Yeah. I just meant for today, not just in general.
My list is still never ending.
Oh no.
Because there's more. I choose to do things that aren't needed right now instead of doing the things that are needed right away. And then, yeah, that's how life works. And then there's more stuff to
Of course.
But talking about PNG tubers, guys. All right, there's a bunch of different ways you can PNG tuber. However, Mars and I, basically this channel in general, is kind of locked in, needed to be, I guess technically not. I guess I could force Mars and Dylan to do some shenanigans and we could shenanigans, but basically if I want to be in control of everything and thus make tech support as easy as possible, we have to use a website that's called Reactive Fuji, and it's really good. It's really great, and it specifically works through Discord, and it thus allows everybody in the Discord call to have their own little separate avatar, and it only responds to their avatar. Okay, so it means you can have as many people as you want on the Discord call. They can have all different avatars lined up, and it works that way. It's great. It's top tier stuff, and because we have multiple streamers as our main thing. It's quick, it's easy to do. Now, of course, with our 1 year anniversary last year, that was 2023, I made these GIF tubers. And basically they are literally just a GIF of the blinking on a certain speed, and for the talking, the mouth moving. And then it toggles between the two GIFs, one where I'm holding the teacup up and one where I'm not, like that. And that's all it is. Now, there is the possibility that this GIF that I make can be relatively long in sort of a length of the GIF, and thus that means that if I'm fancy with it, I can make the beginning of the GIF a fancy thing. So basically what I was thinking about doing is that someone commented once upon a time that we keep holding up the tea, but we never get to sip it. If I was fancy, the idea is that I could make it so that the start of the idle GIF, which is the one where the tea is down like this, if the start of that GIF was actually sipping the tea, so it started at this pose, sipped, and then put the teacup down, and then had a very long period of time looping the blinking, so that because I'm talking and making noise and stuff, that most of the time, that the vast majority of the time, I would be able to sort of circumvent the loop and have it suddenly stutter and make me sip tea or anything. And
makes sense.
That would be
and I also think for those rare occasions where it does interrupt, I mean, people are gonna understand that it's not gonna be a perfect thing, you know?
Exactly. And
it comes down to like suspension of disbelief at that point.
So basically what I tried to do was for Dichotomy's phone to have a little more animation that had starting animations for both the active and inactive that sort of do something. However, making it so that the GIF lasts a long time before looping means that the GIF is apparently very, very large compared to the GIF that I have that's like 12, 24 frames. We're talking like hundreds of frames to try and make it long. And what I didn't account for is the fact that that makes the file size rather large, and that uploading it into Reactive Fuji is taking a very long time.
Is there such a way that you could set it up as two separate GIFs where you do idle animation 1 into idle animation 2 and you just have 1 then 2 and then loop 2?
So Reactive Fuji is very basic. They really just got a very cool upgrade recently. But basically you get to upload an active image and an inactive image. And the fact that it allows GIFs at all and not just like PNGs and JPEGs is pretty neat in the first place. Recently they updated their sort of interface where I can actually have different avatar outfits saved. So basically, I don't have to upload my Phoenix Wright outfit before playing Ace Attorney. I can just click a button and it makes me Phoenix. It puts me in my Phoenix outfit. And on top of that, while I could, there was an update in between when we started using it and this current one that allowed me to change the icons of the other people in the call. So it's like how I gave you the phone without having to give you any files to be the phone, right? I used to have to be like, I need you to go to this thing and log in, you know, connect to Discord and do this whole thing. Like, I don't have to do that anymore. I just say, hey, join the call, and once you're in the call, I can edit whatever, you know, whatever images I want.
Yeah.
I can now, on top of that, have my Phoenix outfit say automatically generate for Mars and Dylan their Ace Attorney outfits as well. So it's all connected. So I just push a button and we're all in the right outfit. I just push a button and we're all in the T outfit or anything like that. So it's like you're the phone now, but if I was to change into Phoenix, you would be just your normal, like a Discord profile image kind of.
Oh, interesting.
Because you are specifically connected.
Because I'm not part of that. Yeah.
Yeah, the T sprites and everything like that. Yeah.
Well, all right.
In the first episode, the only reason we weren't moving is because we had a weird technical difficulty that I have since understood and shouldn't run into specifically anymore, just of Reactive, the website, and Discord kind of unsyncing from each other, and the way to fix that is for me to like end Discord and come back in, which is annoying, but it doesn't happen as much. But we didn't know that at the time, and we were really just trying to start. We wanted to play Ace Attorney, so we were like, screw it. They just they just stand there, and there's no way of knowing who is speaking besides literally like at all, because I don't think I even have subtitles in that very first one either. That was the subtitles
to be fair, I mean, everybody's got a fairly distinct voice.
Yes, I will say, thankful about
like
that.
not only just you guys as people, but I mean, you make a pretty good effort to make sure every character voice is very different from all of the other ones.
Oh, that means a lot. There's a couple times I literally just was editing a video where Dylan does a southern accent voice, specifically like, oh, this character could have been this if we knew, sort of vibe. And Mars goes like, that just sounds like other characters you played, and Dylan's like, that is the most insulting thing you could have ever said to me in the history of ever. They are nothing alike. He plays another character that also has like an Italian mob voice. He plays in the second turnabout, so like literally our second ever stream, he plays a character that has this like mob Italian voice, but it's kind of high pitched and a little more flamboyant. He plays another sort of mob Italian, you know, Brooklyn Italian kind of guy accent in the turnabout I'm actually editing now, and I haven't gotten to that point, but I do know for a fact that chat was like, this is just red white, and we're like, no, it's not.
So what you need to do what you need to do now to just disprove everybody is the next time when you get around to editing that kind of section, you just take some bits and do the two like back to back as a comparison. Put it up as one of the shorts.
So the earlier video like videos at that time of streaming, we didn't know that we were going to be making them videos, right? So they're kind of like just flat, we were not saying anything. But then there's a certain point when I have started editing the videos, which is rather fairly along in the series because the backlog is a lot. There's like 9 episodes from one stream, so it's a lot, and it just obviously keeps increasing. But so there's a point where we start talking to me, the editor, Ori, you know, or now I actually have Grenade does a small beginning portion of the editing as well, so they kind of talk to him as well. But that's a long time until we get to that point where we're caught up there. But so there's a lot of like, oh yep, nope, we'll play it back, we'll have it, do it, put them side by side, and everything like that. So it is pretty funny to have that sort of fourth wall break, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. No, I do like that. I like the idea of having that comparison. Not only, like I said, kind of jokingly, like, ha, see, these characters are so different, but also great way to see how far you've come. Kind of like going back in any show with a voice actor that you like watching and just watching episode 1. Like, it doesn't sound like them at all.
Oh, yeah. No, someone did that recently. I think it was Paige Puff and Enthuse together in the Discord, sort of like showcased, put a little clips together of like some main characters or reoccurring character voices from like the first episode that we ever did and now. And it's like, all right, when I started playing Phoenix, it's just Ori. But now when I'm Phoenix, at least I feel like I sound like a man.
Absolutely. No, yeah, I like the... I definitely want to check those out, actually, even not being a huge Ace Attorney fan. That kind of progression, seeing where you guys started, where you are now, that sounds really fun.
Enthused Pastry Puff. I could have sworn. Maybe it was just Enthused then. But yeah, it was like a whole couple of edits like that. Exactly the same in every show. Well, there's some voice actors like that, where it is just their voice. What is the guy who plays Husk in Has Been Hotel and plays Keith David? He just sounds like Keith David. It's not bad. His voice is very good, but it's very distinctive that like this is Keith David playing this character. Yep. He doesn't play a character. There's another character. The guy that played Gidget in Cyber Chase.
Oh, I have no idea.
God, I know he has a very distinct voice, and I'm blanking on his name. But yeah, it's just another one of those where it's just like, nope, this is just him. There's no voice acting here. I mean, obviously there's acting, but there's not like
no, of course,
voices, or anything like that. It's very funny.
The funny thing is, though, I mean, even those who absolutely do completely change their voice, you can usually still tell who it is, and that's kind of one of the really fun things about, you know, watching so many animated things is you see people who you never would have expected, and that moment where it clicks, like, oh crap, that's actually this person. It's so much fun,
though, right? And then you hear sort of every once in a while they have like a mannerism, and it's like, thank you, Gilbert Gottfried, thank you, Mason. Gilbert Gottfried, his voice.
Wait,
is
it was
just that
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
He's Gidget. He's the sidekick parrot to the evil guy, Hacker.
Man, imagine being famous for playing a parrot, and then you get hired to play another parrot.
He's a good parrot, you know? That's what it does. That's what it's about.
Oh. Yeah, that's wild.
I wonder if I can optimize this GIF to make it work. We're just trying things. Oh, so sort of the other way, the more advanced way of doing PNG tubing is with, there's 2 programs now, I think there are. The first one was VitoTube, and it's basically like a really, 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 really baby version of how VTubers work. VTubers have a lot more shit going on, but it's a really baby version of that. Now, technically, because it is a little baby version of how VTubers work, it's hard to hear me over the music. Alright, I can fix that. I know why. It's because I turned my mic down because I was yelling into the mic for comic dubs.
That would make sense.
Yes.
Speaking of comic, I don't want to get too far off track while you're on the VTubers thing, but you'll be happy. I am caught up.
Wow, look at that. You're prepared for this this cameo today. You knew that there was a chance to hear spoilers.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, I was literally, I had like a moment where I was like, ooh, I'm gonna have to warn Dichotomy that like, oh, there might be spoilers now because you're in the comic stream. I mean, that's what we're working on.
I'm ready for it.
But you prepared, so it all worked out.
No, yeah, you know what? I was pretty happy because where I left off was literally the last chapter of the whole Synod thing. So I got to come in. I mean, obviously, I reread everything because I always start from the beginning. That's the reason I don't like starting something, but I always start from the beginning every time. Yeah, see, amazing, same thing where I like to be able to read a whole bunch all at once. So I got the opportunity to do that. I did everything from like the start of the Ferrix chapters to now, so it was nice. But see, now I have to sit and wait for more, and that's not the fun part.
But that's what's on the edge of the seat. Makes you thinking about the fan. Have you heard? Have you read Pastry Puff's fan theories? Pastry
I
Puff
haven't.
and Ross, they were having fan theory times in the Discord, so you can't participate in the fan theories if you're not up to date.
I know that's exactly why I was avoiding them, because I knew any kind of theories are going to have. I got my own theories as well, but I knew that theories are going to have a ton of spoilers just by their very nature. So
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you stay caught up with
True,
the comic, you get to enjoy the side of fandom involving, the fan theories and everything.
Yeah.
That's the secret.
that's true. It's true. I mean, I'm caught up now. That means I've got like a week or two where I can participate before I fall behind again.
I definitely feel though every once in a while I have like way too many webtoons that I'm like reading, and they sort of just pare down to exist to sort of be like just kind of I'm not as interested in these enough to try and keep up with it constantly, so they sort of move.
Yeah, I get
no,
that.
100% Pastry Pup. You're very good with the spoilers, Pastry Pup. But also comment section specifically, that channel is like, this is a spoiler zone.
That's the whole point of that for sure.
It's like, this is specifically to talk about them, so.
I did have a question, actually.
Yeah.
I wondered, from the very beginning, the scratching on the tree, the notes on the maps, did you actually design a language?
Yes.
Okay. I wondered if you actually did that, or if that was kind of just random.
It's definitely not a language. It's a
just like a cipher, a substitution type thing.
Yeah, it's a substitution with a little flair. So it is. I'm not going to like show what I have like a list, but basically it is written in a way where it is specifically, if you had a 5-clawed hand, a 5-fingered hand with claws, that you would do it this way. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the way that like it's not like every there's a grouping of scratches that mean a letter, right?
Yep.
And then those scratches that mean a letter are grouped together again in a certain way. So it's not as easy as being like, oh, there's like 2 scratches left and 1 scratch right. Like, you have to do a little more on top of that in order to figure it out. It hasn't come into play again yet. Yeah.
I spent like 10 minutes just staring at Captain Milano, trying to figure out if I could see any similarities, and I saw some where I thought, this could be intentional.
Yeah.
So it made me wonder if you actually took that. I'm really, now I got to spend even more time trying to actually figure it out.
Yeah. So it is fully intentional, and thus
love
there
that.
is a thing
Absolutely
to
love that.
solve that you can indeed solve. It will come up a little more soon. So
that'll help.
I mean, quote
having
unquote,
more to look at can always.
More to look at. Yeah. But there's still a little ways for that. Sometimes it is just in between. They won't be as sort of prominent as Milano's literally going, this says Captain Milano in it, but
no, of course. Hey, you don't want to take away all of the challenge.
Exactly. It's gotta have some fun there. Where is my...
Well, this has become my new mission. I'm going to be spending the next week or so just trying to figure that out.
Oh, I'm very, very excited to see if you can come up with it. Because I do have it written down as when I made it. I had to actually... Okay, so this is actually really, really funny about this. I had to actually reverse engineer it. So,
okay.
When I first started making the comic, I was making the comic on the tablet that Mars currently uses and my laptop. And it was, when I started doing that, laptop was at least 5 years old at the time. And I was using a completely different art program and everything like that. And now I'm on a completely different desktop, and I have, new drawing tablet and everything like that. And I'm in the moving of files to the new computer, either it's gone or it got misplaced and I'll never find it because I don't know what I named it. I didn't know where the key was. It was like I could have sworn I made a key, but I couldn't find where it was. And
Oh, wow.
so I sort of like, okay, I had so the entry that has the Captain Milano chicken scratch on it is actually the remastered version that I did for the release that we actually did in last year in 2023. And so I had the original version that is set up the same way. The art is just very different. And I knew I had like a vague idea of how I did the like letter substitution, right? Like what sort of shapes everything was. I had a vague idea.
Yeah.
So then taking what existed from that one thing, Captain Milano, I re-engineered the entire alphabet again with the system so that it worked out again. And
Love that. So that's the only thing that you've updated since that point?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's identical to what it is. To what it was.
No, I just meant the... Oh, okay, I see. Gotcha. I was asking because I remember there's also some notes, when we first get back to the treehouse around the map and everything. So like, is there more hidden here, or is this just scratching?
Yeah, I will say the map is him just marking, not writing anything down, because honestly, for him to try and do his language on paper would not record very well.
Yeah, of course.
You would get so many holes and everything. I'm sorry, Mason. I know that you think that his hand scales look like bugs, and I'm sorry for that. But unfortunately, because of the whole vibe of the Callers and why they're pirates and why they're on this island, he specifically will never wear gloves without very, very specific reasons. And thus, I'm very sorry that you'll have to deal with his hands the whole time.
Just release a separate censored version. Just blur out all of it.
Is this loading any better? Ooh, no, it's not.
Oh, I was excited for a second there. That sounded promising.
I thought it was promising, but I don't think so. They are small. Oh! Okay, hold on. One of them loaded. Okay.
Oh.
We can do this. We can make it happen. Okay. We're gonna change it for a second because I'm gonna make it so I can save the one. Guests, the economy. What am I doing? Inactive. Open. Okay. Why did you load and not the other one? Okay, hold on. We'll do it again. We'll make it work.
Okay.
We'll make it happen. Wait, talk.
I'm way too excited about
this. Your thing
this.
is still working. Good. I didn't break your current one. Okay. This is what we're doing today. We're just having a... I need to open this to see. So this is inactive. So let's make this... Oh, this is not the right one. I need this one. Ah! There's too many folders. I have so many freaking folders.
I believe it.
So this is inactive. Okay. Yeah, God, the amount of folders is just immense. Okay, that one loaded.
Okay.
It's gonna be weird for a second because I'm saving that one to make sure that I can get the other one. And then, so this one should be active. Okay. Open.
I am exceptionally curious because I don't even know what you could add to this, you know?
We're gonna have to re-optimize you. Might have to re-optimize you. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna re-optimize you, make you even smaller a little bit. Let's see. We're doing it. It's happening. We're making it work.
Quite literally on the edge of my seat here.
I'm trying so hard. Okay, optimize.
Did I just do a little squish?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to make happen here.
I saw the squish.
Okay. This one. Open. Load. You could do it. Hello, Oscar.
It definitely worked. Because I saw it happen once.
I just don't know why this one is so big compared. I actually do know why this one is so big compared. It has way more files, doesn't it? 566. Why are you still so massive? Jesus Christ. Okay, hold on. We're gonna compress this even more.
I saw the squish again. That's classy.
If it works fully, we'll get the full squish. We'll get double squish.
Double squish?
Yeah. Yeah, this is basically me testing how to do this. You're my guinea pig dichotomy.
I am perfectly happy to be the guinea pig.
Okay. File chosen. Come here, come hither.
That's also got to be the fastest update that there's ever been. Give me an avatar on one stream, and the very next stream I get a brand new one.
Yeah, Mars does look different, Drow. Mars also sounds different. This is her sick voice. She's calling in, so I don't get her germs through the phone.
Quite courteous, yeah. Working remote.
This one's so big. The other one is only 566 kilobytes, and the active one is 2 megabytes. Why?
Oh, wow.
I don't understand why.
That is a big difference.
I just don't know why. Why is it such a big difference? The active one has less frames than the inactive one. So I don't particularly understand.
I guess the frames are more different to each other? I don't know if GIFs compress in the same way that some videos do. Because I know some videos only do the change from frame to frame rather than saving the entire frame for each frame.
Okay, so there are more changes in the active one. That is yes.
Okay. Again, I have no clue if GIFs actually do that. That's the only thing I can think of.
So I got it down to under 2 megabytes. Let's see if that is helpful. Actually, let's redo this way. This is my last try.
Okay.
And then I actually... Whoop! What just happened? That's not what I wanted to do. Come on! Load! Alright, we'll sit there and have it load.
I'm very excited about that. The little bit that we managed to see, I like it a lot.
What I was saying about going back to how the PNG tubing could be slightly more like VTubing, there's a couple programs you can get for free, and basically they put like your avatar in front of like a green screen, and then in theory there's a step that I'm blanking on what it is, and then I can get that green screen image from Mars and Dylan individually and beam it into my OBS. Basically, I think what happens is they have to stream on OBS somehow, and then I can have that stream in my OBS and keyframe out the green screen and shove them in here, and that would make it a little fancier, and I could do like fancy shit, and I can do like that. We can have different expressions that each of us can toggle through, like angry and happy, and scared or whatever.
I
because it's
absolutely love that.
More similar to VTubing. But the problem, the massive downside, is the fact that now Dylan and Mars have to also do their own sort of like
right.
What words that I can't remember.
Well, if they're doing the
Support.
expressions and everything, it cuts down on them being able to multitask, which I know
Well, there's definitely
Mars especially
that.
likes to do.
Yeah, there's definitely that. But then there's also just like, if something goes wrong, now they have to work on that too.
Right.
And
right.
that's sort of, right now, only I have to know how to make it work. And that is the biggest reason, well, actually one of the two main reasons why it's like, even though I'm making a VTuber for myself, it's not a stream VTuber, and it's not because I'm not making them one either. And it has nothing to do with me not liking them and wanting to deprive
no, that was definitely
them
my first thought,
of,
Ori.
yeah. Well, it has nothing to do with like, oh, I'm late, like I don't want to have to. Oh, it did it there. That was a good one. It was a good. Wait, is it loaded? It's not loaded.
Yeah, it's been doing it on and off.
I don't know
so
why
I don't know
it
if
only
that
does it sometimes.
But when it does do the little squish, it's a cute little squish. It feels very very like Susian almost.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a really
that's the goal.
fun bounce.
The problem is that with this one, it just makes it bigger and bigger. Why does it just keep making it bigger and bigger? I do not know. Because if I want the other thing to loop, it's difficult. Do you have one frame where it does... What just happened? Did I close that tab? I did. More tools. Change loop count. 1. Let's just do that and see what happens. Why are you still so big if I only... Oh, math. Resize?
Hard
This
for me
is
to tell when
more
it's...
effort than I thought it was going to be.
No, of course. Hey, there's no reason it has to be done right now today.
I wanted to see it happen. I did so much work beforehand.
It's been happening. It's been happening. And unless you anticipate that this is the last time you're going to have me on, then we'll have another chance.
It won't be the last time, but
See? Rather than stressing about it now, it's no rush.
All right, I'm gonna try one more thing.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna make a new one, and we're not gonna loop it because I prefer the little funny thingy than having it animate the whole time.
Okay.
This is not what I want. I want this, and then this, and then this folder, and then I need the active one, and then I need all of this to upload. Okay, we're doing it. It'll happen. We'll get it. We'll get it to happen. Yeah, I think it has to be under a megabyte, otherwise the reactive just does not like it.
Right.
Just does not want it. But Drow, I know you've been working on some 3D VTubing.
Ooh. Exciting.
Yes, Drow is a 3D VTuber, and has made another model for someone else, I think, is what's been happening.
I see.
Loop once. Yep.
I don't know what's best for you to test this. Do you need me to talk a lot or like
I'm
leave it
not even
sitting
there
and let
yet.
it do its thing? Okay.
I have to get the thing, and then I have to add it in.
Okay.
And
I didn't know where we were at because it's
we're
been,
not there yet.
like I said, it's been doing it sometimes but not other times, and I
Okay.
don't know when I'm
Now,
supposed
if
to
this
be.
loads in, we'll be happy. It loaded in.
Hey, love that.
Okay, there you go. It should work now.
Now I gotta watch it so closely
Interesting.
and
But what
wait
does
for
it
stream
sometimes?
delay.
Okay. Why is it only doing it sometimes? Let's see
Oh, that is
what there
adorable.
is here.
I do love that.
Okay. This is important for my own information. But it looks like it'll just... Interesting. Okay. I have learned a lot because I think...
Does
what
it always
happens-
start at the
See, that's what I'm
beginning of
thinking
the-
is not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking. So sadly, my idea overall shan't work.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Because I think I just saw it pick up like in the middle of one of the animations.
Yeah,
Which
I thought that
is
it
probably
would
why
start every time,
Yeah.
but it doesn't. Ah, that's good. That's good to know.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. It should replay it every time, but you know, it should start.
No,
at the
but I mean,
beginning.
I think what's probably happening is it's like playing both GIFs constantly, just looping
Yeah.
them nonstop, and then it switches from one to the other wherever it
Yeah.
is in the like timeline.
That is what I think is happening. Yeah.
I'm also noticing when I pick up the phone, I'm leaving behind a little.
Yeah, there was artifacts in your old one too.
Oh, was there? Somehow
They
I
were
never
just
noticed.
not as visual. That's like a rush thing.
Oh no, yeah, fair enough.
But yeah. No, I saw that when I was making the GIF, and I'm like, we're just... mm-mm.
Hey, that's the whole point of being a guinea pig. I am happy to do it. Sorta, it's basically just been a lot of this, trying to get the phone working.
Well, now we'll put you back to normal. But yeah, your artifacts
Alright.
are technically still there. But and then I'll show what the GIFs was for everybody to see.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
And then we'll move on from this incredibly long tangent. I mean, hey, I learned a lot. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's
No, good to know for sure. To give you more of an actual answer, sorta. First off, when did you get here? Also, we talked a little bit about Outcast. We talked about VTubing and tried to make. Oh yeah, I am seeing that. Somehow, I never saw that before.
But this is what it was. Oh. So that was meant to go. I don't know why the second one doesn't loop, but yeah. On the
That is
hanger, off the
absolutely adorable.
hanger. That's
Love
how it's
that.
supposed to go.
The bounce is so like perfect.
Yeah, it felt very phone. But yeah. No, basically what what the artifact is it's the shine of the phone that apparently didn't stay on the right layer for whatever reason.
Okay,
And this got stuck over there.
interesting.
But yeah, that's what I did. And I did it in a VTuber-esque way. And what at least what I'm calling a 2D VTuber-esque way is where all of the parts are separate so you can manipulate them independently. So when I
Of course.
first made our first ever PNG tuber models, basically they were two images, just a full-on image, and that was it. There was no separate. They were just drawn how I would normally draw any image, and they're just, you know, they weren't one layer because I don't draw on one layer, but you know, they were just a layer. You know, the image and then everything else, so that when I changed our outfits, while it was rather easy for Mars and my outfits, it was kind of annoying for Dylan's because Dylan's hands in his avatar are over his middle. So now it's all so now I have to literally erase around his hands, but then the one moves and now it's in a different spot. So it was kind of, I'd have to copy it, have two, and then erase two different ones. And so it was a little annoying. So I knew that when I wanted to, of course, make new ones for the Streamiversary, I wanted to have at very least the arms and hands be separate, and so they are. So from elbow down or up or whatever, from elbow to hand, that is a separate sort of image. And then you have like our clothes are separate from, there's like just a base body. And then I also do have the hair is separated slightly. So like there's the back of my hair, the bangs, the ahoge, those are all separate pieces. My glasses are separate. And then my eyes are the eyes and the lashes, and then the pupils are separate. Those are two separate things. And the teacup and saucer are two separate things. So they're props that could be removed and replaced for future things.
So just straight up build a Bori workshop. Got it.
And what it means is that it makes it really easy to change our outfits, because I don't have to, I can just layer them on top of each other. I don't have to sort of erase around our hands in front of our clothes and have all these different things going on and anything like that. So it makes that really easy. But the level of that cut up compared to the level of like a VTuber cut up is very, very different.
No, yeah, I can imagine.
The VTuber, when you make a 2D VTuber, in order to have, obviously less cuts just mean less sort of like animated parts, I guess. And so it's like the top lash line is separate from the bottom lash line, is separate from the actual eyelashes themselves, is separate, the teeth are like a whole mouth. It's actually Nightmare Fuel. I showed it on stream once. The teeth is like a whole mouth thing, different. It's really, I like to show off the VTuber model that I made and cut up, because I still haven't rigged her yet. I don't know why I'm kind of scared. It's honestly the easiest part, I would think. It's just time consuming. I was like tutorial.
I can see that.
Everything. But I don't know why I'm so hesitant to try and do it. Instead, I've decided I wanted to animate more. So, here we are. It's still all over the place. We do all over the place things. What am I doing now? Backgrounds. How's chat doing? What everybody else is doing today? Just hanging out? You got your stuff done today, Dichotomy?
I did. We actually posted 2 separate things today, so it was nice to get those out. One, just our regular thing, because Tuesday, and we post every Tuesday, but also posted a commission today, which was a lot of fun.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah. I know I don't want this to turn into a D&D stream, but at the same time...
It's not like we never talk about it.
You asked. Yeah, exactly. But no, it was a lot of fun. We've now done 2 subclasses this month, which we're doing something a bit weird, where we're actually doing a theme this month, which we've never really done before. So we've so far done a lightning rogue and an ice monk. So next week is going to be fire, and then end of the month is something that has not yet been spoiled.
Well then, sadly, we won't get spoiled here either, chat.
Yeah. But no, I like that we're sticking to this theme this month, going for the whole elemental angle. It has been a lot of fun and a really interesting challenge as far as design is concerned.
Yeah, I love doing themed stuff, and just any sort of challenge with like rules, I guess, boundaries, because sometimes it's hard, when you have limitless options. It's like, oh, where do I even begin? Where do I even start? And so that's why I like doing like holiday stuff for the outcast boys and things, because it's like, ah, yes, narrow the field down to like St. Patrick's Day.
And it's not even just themed. It's. I mean, you're the same way. Like we both talked about this when we were looking at the Mephit rings,
Yes,
where we
sets.
love putting out full sets. Like if I put out
It's so
one or two
good.
things, it doesn't feel as good
Pyro.
as putting out like 4, 5, 6 that all
Yeah.
go together. So it's
But
been
then you shoot
really,
yourself
really
in the foot because now I have to have 5 or 6 sets in order to put one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The double-edged sword.
But no, that's why this month has been kind of perfect, because we've been able to spread that out over the course of a month instead of
Yeah.
trying to get everything together all at once. So it's been really, really fun, and I think it might be something we continue into months going forward, where we might have a theme each month.
Yeah, I had with having 5 sort of, very. They're not all main characters because that's not how it works, but very present characters in a comic. It's definitely like, well, I do have my favorites to draw. It's also like, but the whole set, but the set.
Yep.
So, shoot myself in the foot there as well. But Pastry Puff, you have off to take the ACTs? I didn't have off to take the ACT. Oh, that's nuts. That's wild to me.
Remind me which one that is again?
ACT
Canadian.
is the one with science. So you have the SAT, and that one's like reading and language and grammar and stuff. And that was like the main one for the longest time. The ACT, I think, is newer. At least it's newer in like being as viable as the SAT is, and it has like a math and science section in addition to some grammar and reading comprehension. So it's definitely more, math and science based, and that's the one that I did way better on as well. ACT freaking aced it. I got 100 on the science portion. We go. It's great stuff. SAT, no, I do not do the writing. That's why I have a Mars.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, everybody's got their strengths. Everybody's got those subjects that just click, and some that kind of sort of don't.
I only like one form of writing, and it's rants, apparently. That's what I can do. I can gripe and rant about something till the cows come home. But to even if I have like obviously, being an artist, I love to think of stories and think of creative stuff. But to actually sit down and write it, like, nearly physically pains me. It's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. This is not my enjoyment of a time. Versus, I bet some people feel that way about art, right? You could see the character in your head, you can see whatever, but, whether or not you're good at it, maybe you just don't like sitting down to draw.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why people exist, to do those things, Not everybody can do them, and people,
Maze and Pastry Puff, that's wild. I don't think... maybe I'm just forgetting it because I was, like, taking the test, and so I wasn't somebody that got to benefit in any way from the test. But I could swear that I had to take both the ACT and the SAT during, like, a Saturday. And you just studied by you studied, that was it. We didn't get off from school. You had to go to the testing place. You're too young, so your parents drive you, and it's on like a Saturday. And it was the most painful thing because, God, I don't want to take this test. I don't want to have my Saturday ruined. And but nope, you want to go to college, you got to do this freaking exam, and you got to do them both just to make sure you get the best test score for applying to college. Took the SAT twice, and I hated it.
Oh. Yeah, we obviously have, like, standardized tests here as well, but it's definitely not nearly as much of a big deal. Like, I know most colleges and stuff there will straight up ask for your actual score and everything, right?
Oh, yeah. It's so a cool thing that my high school offered was they actually had this portal that showed all of the alums of my high school what their SAT or ACT scores were on a graph at the college that they got accepted to. So I could look at the college I wanted, and I could see everyone that got accepted or not accepted, and I could see like their GPA and their like SAT and ACT scores, like on like as a little pinpoint dot. They didn't have names or anything, but it was like a little graph that had like SAT score and like GPA as like the x-axis and SAT score as the y-axis, and it was like per college. So I could pick like my college and see like, okay, because then you can see, is this like a reach school for you? Is this a safe school for you? Is this a, a average school, whatever? And that was pretty cool about it. But so yeah, they do ask you like, well, they don't, at least to my memory when I applied to college, they didn't say like, you didn't like input it. You had to like send them the thing. Like when you send somebody your transcript or something, you have to like send them the sheet that they give you when you like get your scores back for the exam and everything. And so
that's wild. We had the standardized testing. It was called IQUEO here, if I remember correctly.
That sounds like a lot more letters.
It's only one more letter.
The sounds of those letters, though.
We have IQUEO, like it happens multiple times, and I can't remember for the life of me what grades it actually happens at, but you do it like 3 or 4 separate times at different grades, and it's
we
just
have things like that too.
IQUEO 5, IQUEO 12, like whatever, right?
I don't know if they have those anymore, because Common Core is weird now.
Sure. But yeah, no, the we basically did the standardized testing. We heard back about our scores and then never touched those again, ever. Not throughout the rest of high school, not throughout college applications or anything. You did it, you got it over with, you never had to touch it again.
Yeah, so for us, that's a different thing. We have those too.
Sure, okay. That's separate from... Okay.
Yeah. So from like... I can't remember if I did it in elementary school or not. I think I did. Yeah, no. I did, because I remember doing it in the elementary school library. There were... the one I can remember is called the ELA, but then there was like some other ones that I'm blanking on what the acronym was for. But basically, like, I think starting in 3rd grade, you took the ELA, which was like the language, like, and like English language arts exam. And you like take that, and that's the standardized test. And yeah, nobody touches that, but you take that. You take that in 3rd grade, you take that in 4th grade. I think in 5th grade, you take a math one as well. And then in 6th grade, you take a science one, and then it like alternates. Like you don't always take the language arts one every year. Then there's one that's like a different writing one. And then there's but then there's like a math one, and there's like a science one, and you actually have to go to like stations and do like there's like labs set up, and you have to do those, and that's through like a certain point in middle school. And then in high school, I think you take one in 9th grade. That's your first year of high school.
Right.
I don't remember what it is. And then you never have to take one again. But that is literally like a school, like that's like a to rank your school. Right, that has nothing to do with, you're not sending that off to college. You never get to see what you, like, maybe you get to see what you did? I can't remember if you get like a 3 or a 4 on it or whatever. I don't know. It's so long ago at this point. But that was never anything that's like, that's not a grade that affects you at all. It affects your like school's ranking. And then they started changing to Common Core. And so then you do take... I remember taking a geometry standardized test, and that was in 9th grade, so can't remember. But then I got into like AP, which is like the college course version, supposedly, that you take in high school to get college credits. And so that's technically standardized because everybody across the country taking the same AP course as you will take the same AP test as you for that course. And that's what gets you college credits. So that does matter. And, for going to college. And so if you get like, that's on a 1 to 4 system. And so you get credits for that. And honestly, you know, if you're an American and you want to go to college and you can have AP classes and things that you do, I highly recommend it, because I went to college and I basically had an entire semester worth of credits done
Wow.
because of all of my AP exams. And I didn't do amazing
nice.
on them, but it was worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where any little bit helps.
Well, yeah, it meant that I could take a lot more fun classes and just, you know, overall just have a much more relaxed time in college. I did graduate a semester early, and that was more just by the fact that it was like I literally couldn't easily get enough credits to wait another semester. And honestly, it worked out really good because I graduated in December of 2019, and we all know what happened in 2020.
Yeah,
So
just in time.
I got out of there. No, it was what I got out of there, and I had a job lined up since like Thanksgiving, which is the job I had before this one. And I started that job in January, like the first week of January. We're doing January.
wow.
We had a sort of like a training thing for all the new people on the job in my position, because my company was like countrywide, so they actually have branches in Canada too. And
Really?
yeah, I can't remember exactly where, but they are in Canada. They're also in Ireland and the UK.
That's very
Yeah.
like just U.S. Canada. Lots of things are U.S. Canada.
I
That
think
makes
one is
sense.
Mexico. I think they do have a Mexico one branch. I think they do.
Okay,
That's
so
a
they're
newer
starting to
thing.
get a bit more like everywhere
Yeah,
than just okay.
I mean, I feel like they started with like the major English speaking countries, because that's kind of easier
Sure.
to deal with as well. But so we went to this thing, and they fly you to their like big arboretum that was in North Carolina.
Right.
And basically and I ended up organizing it so that I visited my grandmother with my mother. She met me at my grandmother's. So instead of flying home, because it was only like a Monday through Wednesday sort of thing, instead of flying home, they flew me to the airport near my grandmother, and I took Thursday, Friday off, and then my mom and I flew back home like Sunday or something. We landed in my home state, home in New York, to come back. This is like the first week of March. We landed, and basically like on the news next day is like all flights are canceled. We're shutting down.
Oh,
like this
wow.
is happening. Like we made it home, and it was like, holy crap. Well, dang.
So I mean, while you guys were away, you must have had that thought of,
Yeah, it
hey,
was
are we
definitely
gonna get
like,
stuck here?
well, we had driven, you know, between the two places before, so
Sure.
we weren't particularly concerned of not making it home, but it was definitely
Okay.
like we hope that we know Saturday or something that our flight is canceled on Sunday, so that we can drive home Sunday and I can go to work instead of trying to explain to my boss like, yeah, I'm driving home now. You know, I'm driving back
Yeah.
now.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where if if flights get canceled, I mean, you can kind of you've got an excuse. That's
I had an excuse. The boss at the time, the way that it worked is that the manager of the location that I worked at, he was great. He was fine, but he was definitely a pushover to the guy above him, who was basically the manager. He was called the division manager, so he managed
Right.
multiple locations in a general area, and so ours was one of that under him. And I will stand by this. My parents will stand by this. He had it out for our location. There's no other explanation as to how he treated us compared to how we heard about the other two places getting treated. So yeah, I have zero faith that he would have been understanding.
no, that's fair.
I
That
literally-
is totally fair.
Okay, this is really funny. So I got fired from that job, and I definitely did the classic. I definitely did like quiet quitting before it started being like a thing, because I hated that job. It was really bad. And it was really funny. So we didn't have vacation days. It wasn't like you have 5 vacation days a year and you like take them and you just have to let me know. I didn't have that. We got the opportunity to take off that they would allow us, but we didn't have like specific vacation days, and because it was a sales position, so it was kind of understood that if you, it was like you can take off if you have the work to run while you're away. And I was at the point in like mental health and everything that it was like, I am going, we always did, my mom and I always did a trip to my grandmother's in March, you know, just like it happened in 2020. Yep. And so it was like, I am taking this week off no matter what. Like, that, I need this, otherwise I'm quitting. Like, this is it, sort of thing. And he, like, the week before at, like, the office meeting, he was like, so Ori, you're still planning to go on that vacation? And he was so bad. My manager always went on vacation with his family to Florida for a week at the end of March or the end of February. I can't remember exactly where it was. It didn't overlap with my vacation. It was something like that. And he specifically, this past time before I went away, he specifically basically threatened the manager with his job that if he went on the family vacation, he might as well just leave his keys on his desk and not come back. And so he didn't, his family, his wife and his kids went to Florida to do their normal thing without him because of this threat that the division manager did. And so the division manager is like, so Ori, you still planning to go on that vacation? And I'm like, yes, I will not be here next week. So okay. And I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I had sort of resigned myself that like, I'm either quitting or, you know, honestly, at a point, it's like, I want to get fired because then unemployment and everything. But
yeah, exactly.
If you quit, you don't get unemployment. But, so yeah, I went away. And while I was away, there was this job that I had. So I have no NDA, so I can say this. I worked on the property that is owned by Jimmy Fallon. And I never saw Jimmy Fallon, but I know for a fact that it was his property. But, and the two guys that were the sort of like landscape designers and everything, they loved me and they were great. And we had done a bunch of work for them because he had just bought the house. And so we were like doing all this work. We removed a ton of trees and we did, you know, tens of thousands of dollars of work over there. And I ran a crew there, 2 crews sometimes for like months. Like it was a lot of work. So I did really, really good. Now, we had been in negotiation for a while of trying to get them to sign this pruning work for the trees that remained, that they were like into, but they just kept not signing the paperwork and giving it to me to run. And it's like, guys, it's winter, like we want to do it sooner, you know, we want to do whatever. While I was on vacation, they emailed me the signed contract. And I like texted my manager, not the division manager, right away. And I was like, hey, like I got the signed contract for that big job. You know, it's great. I'll be running the cruise, you know, like I can run everybody's cruise for like the whole month or something like that, you know, in the winter while I get great. It'd be great. We come back Sunday. I look at my calendar and I see meeting with the division manager on Monday in the afternoon. I was like, okay, I wonder what this is about. Maybe it's just about this big project because I was still relatively new. It was only my second year and whatever. And he had met with me about the big project before when it was all the removals. And so like go in and like sits down and he's like, basically he's like, all right, Ori, Friday will be your last day. I was like, well, that... It gets better, though. I had read my contract before this. Because I was really trying to get out of having to do, like, weekends and all this extra stuff that they were putting on me, but sadly there wasn't anything specific about my contract, like what my duties were. So they got away with giving us a lot of work, and we were salaried, so no extra pay, no matter how many hours you did. Terrible. And that's a pain. So I had read it, and it does specifically say in my contract, you can leave, or you can terminate your employment, or your employment can be terminated at any time for any reason by either party with 2 weeks notice by either party. Like it specifically said like I would get 2 weeks notice of being fired and they would get 2 weeks notice of me like quitting. Right. So it was like specifically in here. So I was like, all right, well, you know, guess, you know, that's weird that it's just a week. How is this going to work out? And so I'm like waiting to hear about it. It's like Wednesday now. And I like message the guy. I'm like, hey, you know, what's up with those 2 weeks? And he's like, what? I've never done this before. And I was like, here is like scanned, highlighted portion of my contract that says I get 2 weeks notice of being fired. And he's like, I have never done this for anybody, you know, for anybody in your position before. He had fired people in front of me before. He had apparently never done this for anybody. So guys, read your contracts, okay? And
Wow.
yeah, so I got fired. Friday was my last day, and then I got 2 weeks pay after that.
Fantastic.
It was great, you know. Best firing would do 10 out of 10. Would get fired again.
Yeah, that is, you know, any time that you can come out of losing a job and winning is great.
It felt pretty good. Small victories, but that job was hell.
Well, I mean, I was going to say it. Yeah, it sounds like just getting out of there was a victory in itself. So this is just gravy,
It's
you
one
know?
of those things where it's like, even though like I wasn't planning on staying, like I you know, I was constantly talking myself in and out of like quitting, but like, you know, it was money and I was just out of college, so it was like I'm paying off my student loans and stuff, you know. I'm making good money. But was it worth my mental health constantly like the back and forth? But so at a point, even when you get fired, it's still like damn, wow. You know, I got fired. Even though it's like I don't want this job. But like
Exactly. Of all the ways to get fired, I mean, that is, of course, the best way if you come out of there just winning. And yeah, no, that's it definitely could have been better, could have been worse, but
it's one of those things where it's like I hated that job. I don't recommend that job to anybody, but I don't regret it because it made me very good money for being literally right out of college and getting to pay off all my debt. So, you know, maybe it wasn't truly worth it. Who will ever know? But worked out for me in the end, I guess.
Absolutely. And now you're somewhere where you're presumably being treated better.
Oh my god,
and
it's so much better.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm at a company that literally has, including me, 5 employees. Very massive difference.
Exactly. Well, it means you're getting heard.
So much difference. So the manager is actually an alum of my college. And on top of that, my favorite example now compared to the work environment before was that my manager, he called me one day after work, and it must have been like a Wednesday or something. And my mom had come over for some reason and we were going out to dinner. And he calls me and I pick up the phone and he's just like, oh yeah, I had just done like a big new thing that I had never done before because I literally just started in January. And he was like, yeah, you know, Ori, all right, you know, I just see a couple things I need you to change in the permit, you know, application that you had written up, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, like I'm out to dinner with my mom, like I can fix those couple things, you know, very easy things. It was like the images were out of order. And it was like, I can fix that when I get back in like an hour. He's like, no. I'm going to send you an email. You do it tomorrow. Don't do anything. Like, don't touch it. Don't look at it. Don't do it. You ain't getting paid. Don't do it. I was like, okay. Bye. Yeah. Okay, chief. I won't say no to that. Did one other time. He was like, "Oh, can you just send me this one thing?" He's like, "I'm sorry for asking you." Like, literally like 30 minutes after like my day ended, I'm already home, and he's like, "I'm so sorry for asking you this after you know, it's like on a Friday, like after hours or whatever. You know, like you could send it to me on Monday if you want." I'm like, it's right here. Like 2 seconds. So
it's good to know that your time is actually being respected.
100%. It feels so much better.
It's unfortunate that that's something we have to praise rather than
Yeah.
just treating that as the default.
Exactly.
Because it really should be, but
It really should be.
yeah.
But if that's what led me to have to get here having such a horrible job at first, kind of
Exactly,
worth it.
all worked out in the end.
Because I will say, I got pretty tight job right now. Pretty great.
Absolutely.
This is not the right color, is it? I don't know what the right color is. That's a problem with doing the comic. I will say, because I am constantly having to do it and put out like episodes every other week, mild consistency goes out the window.
Oh, of course.
I
It has to.
don't know if this rowboat has been the exact same color every time.
No, and I mean
color
the kind of people that would nitpick that thing, like, the people
Honestly-
like me, are the people who wouldn't actually care. They're just kind of
And to be honest, the way that I do lighting and stuff, you can probably never actually tell. It's more of a
Exactly.
I know.
yeah.
I know that I don't know what color this should be or not. And maybe I just remembered what color it should be. I know it's a pre-chosen color. Just whether or not it's the right brown. That's the bigger question. Versus the
Right.
plants. I know exactly what color every plant is. That's important to me, personally, as a person.
Well, this is wood, Ori. That's plant.
Don't get me started. If I was trying to draw distinct wood, you've seen my wood grain OCD.
Yep.
Did I tell you?
I
some
was
of the
genuinely
early-
shocked when I saw you do the the bench with just a little, not really bench, but
Yeah,
with just
the
a little
platform.
swoosh, just a little. I'll let the computer do it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
So,
I understand. I'm
very
not
early
but
in the comic. You can actually see it. These episodes are, current episodes that do exist and weren't remastered.
Right.
I think it's 4. I think it's entry 2, page 4. Basically where they originally come in and it's just Milano and Hudson and they're doing the map stuff originally in that room. Those early ones where you can kind of see the style is different because they're drawn way later, way earlier than the other ones. That wood grain was hand drawn because I was definitely like one I like drawing wood grain and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And la la la. But then
So
there's definitely at
much.
that point where it's like, and I want to die to draw
it's
all
when
of
they're
the
out.
wood grain.
When they're inside, everything is wood, and when they're
Yeah.
outside, everything is trees. And
Yeah.
when they're neither, they're on a boat of wood.
Yeah.
You cannot do that all by hand.
Yeah, so it was like there's definitely a point where it was like, yeah, this is no, my because there is one of those things where it is like because if you are a connoisseur of like web comics, you can definitely see the ones that sort of have those like 3D models backgrounds, right? Where it's like
Right.
very much not in the artist's style and it's very much, like this whole thing. And it's just, you understand where it is like, yes, I get that making a comic is a lot of work. I'm here doing it with you. I understand. But
Exactly.
there's a point where it's like, but this, you can tell, is weird, right? Versus like no one's looking whether the wood grain is in my art style or not, like out of all of this stuff. Right now I do use a 3D model boat to draw over to get the right angles, but I don't just stick the 3D model boat texture and all, it is like a shape
Right.
more. And I think that's sort of the line where it's
Well,
like, you want it to be in your style. It's kind of jarring
Yeah.
sometimes, and it's just like this character is in a slightly more realistic background than they kind of should be.
Yeah. No, but the other thing is, I mean, you can kind of there's a soft line there where if it's something being put out by a studio with multiple people and they can afford to have somebody actually do the backgrounds by hand, then yeah, you expect them to all be done by hand. But when you're a two-person team and only one of you is doing, well, I know Mars is doing some of the coloring, but like when only one of you is doing the art, then it's a lot more understandable to have those I don't want to say shortcuts, but like to have those things that make it more reasonable for a small team.
So it's really funny that you say that, and this is because, and this is exactly why when I think this thing about like webtoon canvases, that I always that I'm just like I understand, I know, but like it could be better, but that's not their fault. It's the system's fault, because actually the way that webtoon canvas originals work. So we're Canvas, where Webtoons gives us no money, does nothing. They literally just allow us to exist on their platform, and we follow their guidelines of like, you know, content. And but then there's Webtoon Originals, which are people that are being paid by Webtoon to produce their comic at a relatively significant rate, which is, you know, oh god, why did that do that?
Sure.
Which is they have to put out a comic episode every week, and it is like 60 to 70 panels, I think is what it is, which is nuts. That's like twice as long as what ours are every other week. So it's like this is a lot of content, right? And now not all of them are just like one or two people. There's still not a studio of people, you know, and it varies greatly between the Webtoon original, how much like is the original creator doing it, how much is like, you know, hired people, etc. Like it varies greatly, and sometimes you don't even notice, you know, realize that like, oh, this one literally has one person, this one has 5 people, you know, whatever. And so it is kind of wild about that, where they're all put on the same level of like quality and that like people think about that, like, oh, all of these are originals, all of this stuff, but some of these could be literally one person writing and drawing everything, and other of them are like, no, you have a writer, you have an editor, you have a backgrounder, a flatter, you know, a line artist, and the main artist, etc. So it's really wild to think about. And to a certain point, Mars and I had talked about this, and I don't think her opinions have changed. Mine haven't. So I think it's fine to speak for both of us when I say if by some miracle we were given an opportunity to be an original, we wouldn't want to be an original. And the reason behind that is, one, thankfully, you know, we're not in a position where we're trying to make this be our full-time job. Would it be a dream and it'd be really cool? Yes, it would. But we both have careers that, you know, are suitable to us doing both, and having Outcast as like a hobby, that we don't need it to be sort of our main sort of source of income at any time. And then on top of that, they get their fingers in the pot. right? If they own it in a way, and you just hear horror stories about like sort of how they own it now, and you like can't do anything with those characters anymore, and it's like, I think I would die if they weren't like my boys anymore, and I couldn't do with them what I wanted, how I wanted, what I wanted. And lastly, just the pace, you know, it couldn't be a hobby anymore, and they really don't pay enough for it not to be a hobby in the United States. So it's like that sort of double-edged sword, where it's like there's no way that the pace could be kept up. And I'm a person where it's like, so the sort of different what's the word, like jobs that people can have on comics vary greatly, in my opinion, of like how much the vibe is put into the comic. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but like,
no, I think I see it. Like how much it actually influences the final. Yeah. So like a flatter, which is what Mars does in the art realm of it, has
relatively little bearing on the vibe of the comic and the characters, because it's literally basically paint by numbers, color in the lines. Now there is the effort in, like, I don't tell you where the color should go. You have to figure that out based on reference. And so there is effort there, but this sort of coloring is like, I've already made the characters and how the colors should go, and since there's no lighting rendering involved, it is literally just, here's your color palette and put them where they belong. That has very little vibe on it. However, some people have line artists, which is after the main artist does the sketch, they go in and they make the lines of the characters. And I don't think I could I could not have that be me.
Right.
I would be like, oh God, how do you allow your brainchild to sort of have so much influence by someone else? It's the same reason that I don't think I could ever not edit the Ace Attorney videos to the extent that I do. There are certain pieces that are like, I don't need to have my full fingers in the pot. Like, I have Grenade, he cuts up the episodes, right? So there's a fair amount of times where there's like dead air, or there's just a break because we're waiting for the dialogue to load just physically through the game as it scrolls across. That is the sort of things that he is going in and cutting out. It's definitely not the lifeblood of the thing. And now he does, which is very great, every once in a while feel the vibe so hard about like a bit we do, and he puts in his own little edits, and it's great like that. But
love that.
If I was to have him do more of that at some point when the channel starts being more self-sufficient, it would be like in addition to the ones that I'm already putting in there, right? Because I have like a method. I have like this sort of noise gets a this sort of thing, but it's not as clear cut as color the numbers. It is like, I have to decide, is this that noise or not, or etc., or putting the memes in it. That's a big part about the rewatch value of the videos, is that I can take the memes that we put in, or ones I think about rewatching the video, and make them in the video. And that's sort of a thing that only I can do the way I can do it, no matter how much I try to tell.
It would also feel weird to you to relinquish that opportunity and have somebody put in memes and references that you yourself don't get.
Yeah.
Because then it's like your own videos are going to be showing things that
I don't even
I definitely
at or anything.
Yeah, that would feel weird to me too. I'm like, this whole topic, I've been trying to draw a parallel to what we do through DG, and it's like, it would be kind of like me writing the bullet points for everything and then handing that off to somebody else to do the proper, like, formal writing of it. Yeah. And it's like, that's just like, here's the baseline, you finish it. And I couldn't, even within our team, I can't really do that. And it's not because they don't know what they're doing, it's just because it's
mine.
So to a point. And I mean, part of it is also consistency, where you don't know if your audience is going to lose interest if it's got somebody else's personal touch, Yeah. And you don't know if with what I'm putting out, like, if somebody is not really going to catch the intention of what that is if I'm not the one to finish it. So it's, that is a wild thing to think about.
And what's so interesting about that sort of thing is the idea of that, like, to a certain extent, there is a formula that you're doing.
There is.
Right.
Exactly.
And especially with the videos, there is like a formula of, I know that when we make the like noise, I do a specific thing, like video edit, but it goes one way for Mars and Dylan and the other way for me and things like that. But there is a sort of nuance of not every single noise like that noise gets it, right? Not every single thing. What if there's two next to each other? Which way does it go? Which sort of thing. With the dialogue, there's like a whole list of things that I have to go down to see which subtitle goes on top of the other, which subtitle is literally above the other one, just as like a visual look. And it's like a whole list of things of like flowchart to meet, that to write down and let somebody else make that decision is just kind of weird.
It's the difference between having a familiar structure and having an absolute firm template.
Yeah.
If you have that template, you can't really breathe much life into it. And sure, it's going to be consistent and it's going to be the same, but you can't really give somebody a template and be like, follow 90% of this, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's very weird. And that's why it's like, in an ideal world, I would have, you know, Grenade or any editor do more than they're doing right now. It's just, you know,
Yeah.
the editors are expensive and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But
Of
it
course.
would be an addition. Like, they would never do the memes. Now, if, you know, Grenade one time was like, oh, here's a meme that, like, I see and I got it, right? Like, I knew the meme. I was like, yes, cool, I will add that in there. Thank you. Nice.
Oh, exactly.
It's funny. But it would always be, it's like, I wouldn't leave the memes just to Grenade, or, you know, or
And
anything
no,
like
I mean,
that.
taking
So it's very-
suggestions like that is what stops it from being a, you know, this is you taking control of the project, but it's not you being an absolute tyrant and saying nobody else is allowed to do anything.
Don't touch
You're-
it. Yeah.
Exactly. It's why we have people that help us out. It's why we have a team behind us, and it's why we have a community built around us, because their input helps go a long ass way. And we're just there to put out the final product.
Well, that's always something that, like, because of the format of webcomics and how they, you know, they come out and you're kind of making them as they come out, that is a bit of a thing that I wish I could do more with Mars, of have Mars sort of get to go over the art a little more, because like
Right.
in the sort of revamp we did, the minor edits we did for the anniversary, there's a couple places where she's like, I you know, add a panel here, added this to like fix the, you know, to like make the timing sort of different, or to showcase very specific things that she was looking for when she was writing, and things like that that I didn't necessarily pick up on 100% when I went through and did my things. So in an
Right.
ideal world, I would have like a, here's the like refined sketch, because honestly my sketches at this point are really messy because only I need to read them and I need to get to lines as fast as possible. And thus she would
Fair.
get to go over that and be like, oh, hey, Ori, can we add a this? Can we take, you know, can we change this expression? You know, have a little more hand in it, because I like her, you know, input, and of course she's writing it a certain way that maybe I didn't pick up on, and we can go back and forth that way. But it is difficult
Exactly.
with the, like, I gotta get this out. I gotta get it out.
No, on the other side of that, though, if anybody in this world can understand where you're heading from rough Ori sketches, it's going to be Mars. So I
will
don't think
say.
you necessarily need to wait until that last step to
Honestly,
run them by her, you
the
know?
more thing that I should do is, and this is just a thing I should do, you know, overall, is I should be better about putting the bubbles in first. I honestly, I definitely do. I go about comic making in a hobbyist way, in an amateur's way. So I do what is comfortable for me, but it's definitely not the best sort of practice when you do something like this. And
Okay, yeah, fair.
yeah, so it's like when you go into looking how to make comics, and when you go into looking how to make like professional webcomics or just professional comics in general, and any like webcomic artist that is like, this is their like main job or like a big part of their like income for being an artist, they
Right.
do these things, and one of that is thumbnailing. One of that is like, so it's like you thumbnail and then you go in with the sketch, and when you thumbnail with the bubbles, right? So you thumbnail with the bubbles, so the bubbles aren't getting drawn, you know, put over something that was important, you know, so the bubbles can be situated right. And so then you have the bubbles in
Smart.
when you're drawing, when you're doing the actual like full sketch and lining and everything like that, and then you're supposed to draw the backgrounds fully at the same time that you draw the characters to make sure that all the perspective is right and everything, and etc. And while some of those
That
things
makes
I
sense.
have done, like I definitely am drawing the backgrounds more alongside the characters than I ever was before, but I also got better at 3D tools to sort of set everything up. And I did thumbnail for the sort of AU comics that have the more classic comic book layout versus this vertical scroll, infinite scroll layout that we have here.
Yeah.
And that is something that, this is fun being the first comic because it is like you're learning a lot. And I know things that I would do differently for the next one and et cetera, et cetera. But there is sort of like a level of, I am not a thumbnail person. I don't enjoy doing the thumbnails. And if I'm the only one that has to hold myself accountable for doing thumbnails, she's not holding herself accountable for doing the thumbnails. And
that's fair.
I'm impressed that I can hold myself as accountable as I do for doing the backgrounds at the level that I do, but that starts being more of like a pride thing at a certain point where it's like, no, they look good. So you're gonna get through them.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's not something that I mean, the suggested process is definitely something that I never would have considered. I would have thought that, yeah, bubbles are going to be the very last thing, kind of where you would just put them wherever you can kind of thing. But I guess it makes sense that they say you should plan those first.
And I will say it matters a lot more in the classic, like, comic book page comic. Solely for the fact
with the infinite scroll, you can move things if you need to. You can shuffle the whole thing down if you need extra space. Yeah,
and just the fact that there's a lot more relative blank space in an infinite scroll. Not sure, Pastry Puff. Thanks for keeping it alive. But that it is like there's just a lot more blank space. So at least when I do it, a lot of the bubbles are totally outside of the panels. And just or like half outside the panels. They're not forced to be inside the panels. But when you do like a comic book layout, there's not extra infinite space above and below everything.
True.
Where I can shove in a bubble. The bubble has to be part of the panel. And that is why, to my chagrin, I did and have and will continue to thumbnail the comic book pages for the AUs, because I do specifically make them comic book format because I wanted to practice that. And
of course,
that's what's interesting about sort of Outcast will one day, without question, without a doubt, be existence in a book, even if it's just literally 2 copies for Mars and I. It's gonna happen.
Oh no, that's if you're doing 2 copies, you're doing 3.
Yeah, well, I will say there is a threshold of them being very expensive. But I know for a fact that I am the person, Mars is the person that like we're gonna pay the price that I know it is to make like a single copy, because it's happening. Because I don't think I could do this and not have a physical copy for myself.
And
however,
you've already made books for her of some of her previous works, so you're just continuing that trend. She's gonna have a whole ass collection.
Yeah. I won't be making it that way ever again.
No. I remember you saying how much of a pain that was.
It's more like it's one of those things where it's like I definitely try to use the free version of things as much as possible, and I absolutely despise programs that are like, you need to buy a subscription. I recently just bought the paid version of my video editing software that I had been using for over, like a year and a half now, the free version, and the free version is absolutely fantastic. But because it is something that I'm continuing to do and still doing, it comes with the auto-generated subtitle. And so it's like, at a certain point, I'm making money now. It's good, but I only did it because it's a one-time purchase.
That's exactly it.
Right?
Yeah, same
if
as
it
Roval
was
just said in chat there. I would never subscribe to anything digital like that, because you don't know.
What I find the worst. So it's like, I understand that making updates and bug fixes to programs cost money because you are paying people to do that. 100% understand. And thus I can totally understand why continuing to pay for a program could be what, a subscription amount after the main program could be warranted to get these updates, right? When I first got the art program that I used, they didn't have a Liquify tool, which is honestly epic as hell now that they do have it, but I do have it. Now, thankfully, it's not subscription or anything like that, so I do get it, and this sort of thing. Well, but see, and this is where I'm getting to, Roval. This is the whole thing, and this is why it matters. And so you get all of that. The problem with the current subscription service sort of model that is commonplace for these sort of programs is that if you stop subscribing, you have no access to the program anymore. And that, to me, is the criminal part. If I have paid for this program and I stop subscribing, I should be able to have the program work in its entirety as it was when I stopped subscribing. And I should be able to, at any point of time, decide to start subscribing again and get those updates and continue to do it, right? That should be an option. I should not be... I've paid hundreds of dollars to this company, and I won't pay hundreds of dollars more, and I don't get everything that I've had. That's ridiculous. And that, to me, is the sole reason that I am against subscription services, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what scares me about it too, is especially if it's something like that has a certain file type where you need that program or a similar program to access even your files at all.
Yep.
It's honestly it's one of the main reasons why I still create in Google Docs of all things, because I know that, I could purchase Publisher and actually make, great quality PDFs that way, but if I ever stop using that, I then have no way to edit those at all. So it's just it's scary. It's scary. And yeah, to speak to what you said, Roval, there, absolutely. I mean, there's a huge difference with supporting an individual or a team that you believe in and that you enjoy the works of. I have no problem with subscriptions in general, especially when it comes to content that you're actually using, and especially if it's somebody that's releasing stuff regularly. But when it's continuing to pay for the same thing that you've already paid for, that's where it feels a little...
I also think... Hi, Crimson. How have you been? I also think the big difference between, like, a Patreon or a Ko-fi subscription, right, is twofold. One, that you are either literally supporting this person just because you want to support them, and the extra benefits that they give at all are just icing on the cake, right? I find there are a lot of people who do that. The second thing is that you are getting something, and if it is a download, if it is an image, if it is an ever, you can save it and have it. They cannot take it away from you, right? Dichotomy puts out classes, races, whatever, you download it, and now it is yours, whether you stop paying for the Patreon or not. Now, you won't get the new stuff if you stop paying, but everything that you had is there. You also get the backlog of everything as well, just for doing it once. So it's definitely a lot less sort of manipulative, I guess.
Yeah.
In the way,
and I mean, that comes back to what I was saying, where it feels a lot better to have a subscription where you're continuing to get new benefits from it, rather than to pay for permission to use a program, even if it's just like $2-3 a month. Like, that's still, I've already paid for it. Why do I have to continue to pay for it to continue to use the same thing,
Yeah, and my whole thing is just like, I just should get to keep it, right? I should, like, I will never stop buying DVDs. I have asked for CDs of my favorite bands for Christmas, like, the past 3 years, because even though I subscribe to, like, a music streaming thing and, like, Netflix or whatever, it's like, those aren't mine if I stop doing it. if they remove it from
Yeah.
the platform. If they, like, people are like having this, that even the ones you quote unquote like buy on your TV, right, when it says to like buy the whole thing, they can take that away too, legally. Like, that's a legal
Exactly.
thing that they can remove from you to purchase it. And it's shit like
Yep.
that where it's like, whoever thought the DVDs were gonna go away? You cannot come and take my DVDs from me. You can't do it. That's stealing. And so, yeah, I still have, like, I buy anime anime DVDs of, like, animes I really, really love and enjoy, because it's like, I want to be able to have those forever. Nobody, if the place I stream them from, whatever, it's just great.
It's a similar reason to why I prefer DVDs over Blu-ray, because I know with Blu-ray, some Blu-ray players can connect to the internet, and they do that to add like things with bonus features or to fix typos in the subtitles. Also means if they really, really wanted to, they could just, do whatever they need to do, quote, edit the video so that it no longer has any,
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, obviously, like, it depends on the Blu-ray player, and it's got to be connected to the internet when you put the thing, and it's got to be like, hey, there's an update to this software. But, like, this file, I guess. But,
Yeah.
I
didn't even know that
I'm
was a
sure it would
thing.
never happen. But the fact that it could is what gets me.
Yeah, I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah.
I
Now, the thing is, I don't know if those updates, like, live on the Blu-ray player, and then if you put the disc in a different player, it'll just start as normal, or if that's something that actually gets burned to the disc. I doubt that's the case, but I don't actually know enough
I would
about it.
I would be surprised if it got burnt into the disc, just because, like, that takes a long time to write a disc.
True.
And I don't know if you can read and write a disc at the same time.
That's a good question.
I feel like you can't. I feel like you can't read and write a disc at the same time. So I feel like there's no way that it can be written on the disc unless
Right.
it takes like a significant amount of time to do that upload. My bigger thing with Blu-ray, I always try my very hardest, because certain things are only in Blu-ray sometimes, like anime and stuff. I like go really hard to get like the Blu-ray combo pack, where it's Blu-ray
Alright.
and DVD. And honestly, I didn't know about this whole connecting to the internet thing at all. So my purpose is solely the fact that not everything is a Blu-ray player, but everything is a DVD player. And
Right.
so, no matter what, where, when, like, my computer has a disc player. It is not a Blu-ray player, but I can play normal DVDs, and I don't want to lose that. So it's like, I want the normal one, but if I can't get just the normal one, I will go for the combo pack, because sometimes that's all they have on anime sites.
Yeah.
But no, look, you learn something new every day. Now, we live in an interesting digital world where it's definitely like, well, go back to the whole thing that we were talking about before with like programs for like design work, I guess, right?
Right.
Like, I specifically have not used any program because I don't know of a good one that is like a good like free one to even try out to a certain extent, right? Or their subscription. And it's like, I would like a better layout program. All of my, like, I made pages that look like pages, for like a D&D book with some of my like stuff. I can actually show some. And
Yes.
that was done with not Homebrewidy, the other one, GM Binder, and then
Right.
my art program together. So basically what I would do is I would do as much as I could in GM Binder, because GM Binder stopped being updated. So like all of the bugs, that's just how it is. And so you can do what you can do, and you can't do anything else, and it'll never get fixed. And I had learned GM Binder, and I'm not learning Homebrewidy as well. Like, I can't do... I can't do another thing.
I was under the impression they were the same. I've heard from
To
people
my
that if you
understanding,
know one, you can use
is
the
they're
other.
not identical.
Okay.
And that
They've
GM
got their own
Binder
little quirks.
has a little more on the like user-friendly side of it.
Okay.
And that Homebrewy is more classic like coding to a certain
Right,
extent.
right.
And it's just like, I barely got this level down. Like, you know, and I'm copy pasting at this point. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just like, I got it once. Now,
Yeah. Hey, I
here
mean,
we are.
I've been in this space for going on 2 years, and I haven't figured out
Yeah.
either Homebrewy or GM Binder, so I do
So-
not blame you.
The sole reason I knew GM Binder at all was because of I joined Cinder's sort of community,
Right.
and then there was one person at the time that he knew a lot about GM Binder, and so he had
Okay.
done a lot, and so he basically taught me through like watching him do shit in Cinder's Discord. We're talking like Cinder really, really, really early times. And then I learned GM Binder to get to the point where I have it now, and then sort of worked that way. But where is the thing that I want? Is it this one? Trying to find actually what I'm looking for, the full thing. Is it this? Compendiums. Here we are. Getting there. The problem is because now I have like 80 different things. It's trying to find
Of course.
the entire fully edited one. Is it this? See, it's not this. Very interesting. See, that says compendium, so it should be there. But why are they all separate? That's GM Binder. Which is not what I want. I thought I had combined them into one together. Apparently not in an easily findable place for Ori. We'll just
Oh, well.
do this one. Nope. It's harder than I thought it was going to be. Gravewood leaflet. Okay. Yes, I got one. Okay. So basically, can I zoom in? I can. Whoops, too far. What I would do is I would get this sort of the text would be situated in GM Binder. And then
Okay.
I would, here it is centered now. And then I would take, so it would just have the text here. It wouldn't have the numbers down here. It wouldn't have the Origami Curio here. It wouldn't have these borders or any of the art or anything. It would literally just have this section of text here. And the background would be, you know, the right texture thing that I have. And then I would download it as a PDF. I would convert it to a PNG, and I would bring it into my art program. And that's where I would add all these border stuff, the corner numbers, the little Origami Curio thing, all my artwork here, and all the levels, all the artwork. So it would literally just be these words like this.
Love that.
And then I would add all of this in. And that allowed me to have like a fairly nice looking thing going on. But it's
Very
not
nice.
perfect because I have to like eyeball the distance between the corners and stuff. Like the art program doesn't have
Right,
like
I
a
see.
grid, you know, like to set it up to have assets be identical every single time or anything like that. So it would be sort of a shot in the dark
No,
with
of
that,
course.
just eyeballing it. So it's like I wanted, if there was like a free thing, to sort of level that up a little bit, but there's just really not like a
No.
comparable one that I can know of, and there's really just not like
I mean, hey, like I said, there's a reason that I've stuck with the Google Docs.
yeah.
Just because it gives me the most amount of freedom with the least amount of complexity.
Well, see, that's I did all of the ones I have done for my homebrew Instagram have been solely inside my art program.
Wow.
And that is why there are so many typos, because there's no spell check in the art program, because it's an art program.
Oh no, of course.
And so then when I actually was getting kind of serious about it, I would like put it in, I would put the text into, either Google Docs, or I have this program that was like $15 that I really like. It's called Typora, and it's just a way to like nest a bunch of things really well.
Okay.
So I like it. It's good for like taking DM notes and stuff like that. It's like upgraded Notepad in a way, but it's just really good for organizing stuff and thoughts. But I would put it in there. It has spell check, and then I would copy it into the art program then after that. But it's still not perfect because trying to look at it and do everything. But yeah, that is literally the reason I had so many spelling errors.
No, I don't blame you. I mean, hey, like I said, we make everything in Google Docs, and that still has typos. So
I am certainly not the person to ever notice. Oh, I don't know if I ever said this on stream, but when I was doing that very early, I was posting on Reddit a certain amount, and someone on Reddit said something along the lines of like, you should really get a native English speaker to reread your pieces. Your art is too nice to have so many typos and so many, elementary mistakes or something. And I was like, damn, I did so bad that you thought that English was my second language or not my first language. Damn.
Oh.
The most
that is
accidentally backhanded comment.
No, exactly, right?
It was so funny to me.
Oh no.
Oh, so funny. Roval, I'm caught up on Free Run right now. I didn't get to see last week's Dungeon Meshi. It just kind of slipped past us. But again, I can't be spoiled. I literally can't be spoiled. I'm all caught up in the manga. Oh my god, I should be getting the next Dungeon Meshi book soon! Oh, I think it's the 18th. Very exciting. I haven't gotten any further in Mr. Villain's Day Off just because I watched that with Dylan. I think that's all the anime. And I'm caught up with Cherry Magic. That comes out Thursday. I think that's all the anime I'm consistently watching. Mars is gonna watch this one anime that was supposed to be... I feel like the person said it was Voltron-y, and they squeed louder at the twist than they did at episode 10 of Yuri on Ice. So we have high hopes, but she's gonna do the three episode test, and if she deems it worthy of continue watching, I might watch that as well.
Interesting. You guys have a standard test to determine which animes
so
are
it's
gonna.
Mars's test. So I don't know why she did when she came up with this, whatever. But yeah, it's that she gives it 3 episodes, and if she's hooked at that point, or it's got good bones at that point, it's worth watching. Because sometimes like the first episode is just like not indicative, right? And sometimes the second has to lead into the third, whatever. But that means you're giving it like a fair shake. That's like when you try food and you have to try the food like twice to actually know if you actually liked it or not. You were just surprised.
Right.
And yeah, but I defer 90% of my viewing experience through Mars's filter. See, this is the two things. I have a Mars for anime, and I have a Dylan for like the news and current events. So I don't watch the news. I don't listen to current events really at all. So if something is that important or that interesting to me, Dylan will tell me about it. And if there's like an anime that's really, really good, Mars will tell me I should watch it or tell me about it. And that's sort of where the lines are.
I'm so out of it with anime too. Like I used to be I was never a huge anime fan. I was always more into manga. I would actually read rather than
read Dungeon Meshi. Do it. It's so good.
No, but again, I will remind. I can't start reading something that's not completed. I
So-
like to start something and go right
Okay.
through to the end.
You're in luck. It's done in Japanese. I believe there's one more book after the one I'm getting that has to be translated
Okay.
into English, and then the entire series is complete.
Okay, fantastic.
So
Yeah,
very
no,
soon.
because I've obviously heard you
Yay,
guys
pastry
talking about it
puff.
for the longest time, and been curious, but not
It's been
wanted to
years.
jump in too
It's-
soon.
It's one of those, yeah. So it is fully done. In the manga is completely finished. I think it finished in September, but
Hey.
they are slowly being translated. And I don't think that the one I'm getting is the last one. I'm pretty sure there's 14, not 13. I would be surprised if they can wrap everything up in the next one. So we'll see. Maybe it is the last one, and you'll get to read it sooner. But very, very, very excited. I have been not consistently following the manga since college, but I did start reading it in college. So it is like
Right.
a long time sort of coming of like, oh, we're getting through it. I'm getting to see it. And then now that it's an anime is like another wild level because I really don't read manga a lot. I'm personally I like color so much that it's just like difficult sometimes for me to do the black and white style of manga, and I get why
see that.
it's black and white. But as like just a person, I'm just like I like the color so much. I need it. I need the color.
That's fair.
And so I definitely don't. But this was recommended to me by someone I was roommates with, that it was like pretty much everything I liked. And he was right. It is. I love it to death so much. And I was reading it on like a manga reader like phone thing because I was in
Right.
college and I didn't have like money to just buy them every week or anything. And then I sort of, and it was updating, weekly basically. And at a certain point I was just not keeping up with it, and I just sort of fell out of it. I got back into it, and then I was like, you know what? I got money now. Let's actually buy the books. And so I started buying them on Amazon, and I like got all of them, and I reread them all recently because I had gotten pretty far, and I
Right.
reread them all I think just last year, about a year ago at this point, and then I've kept up to date since. And then yeah, it just ended in September. So
See, that's actually a very similar reason to why I've not been reading much manga at all lately. Is I had a go-to app which was all fan translations. It was never
Mhm.
perfect or anything, but it was free, which was
Yep.
nice. But it closed down, and there's a big part of me that's like,
really,
so, yeah, the app. I mean, obviously, there's a big part of me that agrees with it to an extent, because if you're reading it for free, then the people that created it aren't being paid for it, and they didn't expect to have their
Mhm.
work put up and fan translated for free. And I do agree with that, but there's also so many of those which would never get an English translation at all
yeah.
if it weren't for this kind of thing happening. So I'm very, very torn on whether when it first happened, when I lost access to that app, I tried a dozen other ones and they were all terrible. I couldn't find one I liked, so I just stopped reading manga altogether for a while. And then it just became a big part of, well, do I actually support that or not? And it's tough.
It's certainly like I think the biggest thing for me is definitely access, right?
Yeah.
Because the same thing comes with anime. Unfortunately, a lot of anime that Mars and I watch are definitely for free and not on official sites or anything like that. But that's
Right.
solely because sometimes you get anime that is just never available to you in the United States, right? If there was a way to have all content legally and easily accessible, where the creators specifically got significant portions of the stuff, it's like, great, yes, I understand. I want this to exist this way, and I want this. But when that isn't possible, it is just kind of like, what, I just supposed to not enjoy this anymore? And then the other thing, and the other thing, and this is what, at least for like shows and stuff, is for me, is that I know for a fact that in animation, the merchandise is where they actually make their money. Oh, thank you for the follow, Johan. And that's where they make their money. So if I'm watching the show to enjoy it, and then I go out and buy official merch, like, I've bought way too much Dungeon Meshi merch. I've by far made up for the amount that I have watched Dungeon Meshi. It's kind of like I'm actually supporting them in a better way than I could be if I was able to sort of watch it. And it's sort of this whole double-edged sword thing that just comes around how we make and have to consume content. You know, I'm not trying to get into any like wild stuff here, but just
no, of course. You don't want to get too heavy on a chill stream.
Well, yeah. I mean, we all hate what they have done to animation in the past and how they've shunted them. I don't think anyone here who likes our content can rightfully disagree with that feeling. But it is like, you sort of have to pick and choose how even, you know, supporting them in any sort of way. It's interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing I find is that it's like, I don't, when, let me back up and start this sentence in a way that'll make sense. When you bought more things in person, especially books, you could actually read a significant portion of them for free. Okay? So if I wanted to try Dungeon Meshi, there is very little stopping me from reading at least a chapter of the manga in the store before purchasing it.
True.
If I only have access to it online, however, I have no way of knowing besides the blurb on the back, which obviously can be varied in its usefulness, from book to book to anything, whether or not I'm actually going to enjoy this or not. And now, is $15 an insane amount? No, not necessarily. Not for everybody. No. For some people it is. For some people it isn't.
Sure.
But am I really going to buy something that I have a significant chance of not enjoying to an extent when I can't try it out, right? And that's the whole thing with like clothes. I hate buying clothes online because even though I can return it, it's a significant hassle to me where I know that clothes don't fit me easily. I would like to try them on.
Hey. No, that's true. That's true.
So that's why I think that there is a place for these sort of things. And I know that I wouldn't be as such a fan of Adventure Time if I didn't have the website that we watch a lot of our stuff on to this day. I've been on this website since middle school. This website has been around. But if it didn't exist, I could not have been as much of a fan of Adventure Time because I started watching Adventure Time before streaming services were like a thing, when Netflix was like you sent the DVDs to your house sort of thing, right? And so I watched Adventure Time. The only way to watch every episode and be guaranteed that I could watch every episode was to go to a place like this site that had basically the archive of every episode to sit down and watch in order. I could not watch Gravity Falls, Over the Garden Wall without this site, because Over the Garden Wall was a mini-series special 1 year for Halloween. It was not getting reruns. Is that
really how it started?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's why it's 10 episodes. That's it. That was it. It's a mini-series special. And it was like, it has, obviously gained fame again, and I think they rerun it sometimes, but it is not like constantly rerun, so you would have to like make an effort to get to watch it if you didn't have this sort of, site to do it. And so that was like a whole thing. I wouldn't be fans of these
Yeah.
things if I didn't have that. Same with Gravity Falls, right? Again, before streaming services is when I started watching it. So and that's a show that kind of matters that you watch it in order. I was able to watch
Very
Avatar: The
true.
Last Airbender because of this site. I had never
Even
watched
more
it.
important to watch in order.
Well, exactly. So it's one of those things where it's like trying to catch it when it's not releasing, right? Trying to, because even, you know, I grew up with DVR and you know, and even like VHS tape recording, right? So I never
Yeah.
had that, like, it was 100% necessary to watch live when it came on, but you still had to set it up to catch it live, and you had to set it up to get the reruns so you could filter through the reruns to find the one that you needed next. And they
Yeah.
weren't labeled correctly half the time. So it would just be an insane amount of hassle that, at least as the kind of person I am, I probably would not have seen these things if it wasn't for those sort of streaming sites from all the way back then.
Very fair.
And I have,
Yeah.
again, since made up with buying every single Adventure Time DVD.
Yeah, true. It's weird. You've like shaken my whole.
Your whole worldview?
Well, yeah, because for a long
Rocking
time I
your
was like
worldview.
unsure about whether I was, on board with this kind of thing or not.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got me like looking at different manga readers to see which one's gonna be best for me to give a try.
Because that's the whole thing. If it does develop you into a major fan, you are going to give way more to the whole thing than
Of course.
getting one person to buy that one manga, or that watch that one show on Netflix or something, right? The amount of I have pre-ordered way too much Legos merch at this point for Dungeon Meshi. I'm talking like everything official that comes up. I'm like, yes. I have disposable income. It is not helping me and my addiction. I don't have a single piece yet because it's all pre-order, but it was like, yes, it's been a manga and I've loved it. Here's official merch. So it's just wild. But yeah, I've made up for any amount of free time I had because that's the other thing. You watch a manga, you watch an anime for free. I'm pretty sure I watched Yuri on Ice, through this website. Yet I bought the DVD, so like, I think I made up for it.
That's true. All right. I'm getting
I've convinced
back
him.
into this then.
I've got him back. Look at that.
And it's not like I haven't missed it. It's not like I haven't wanted to. It's just been like, is there a right way or a wrong way to do this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think the thing you have to think about is when it comes to smaller creators, right?
Exactly.
When it comes to something that is actually published, which manga are, it is something that you can physically, if you love it, purchase the book, right? A lot of times you can do that. If it's an anime and it's a popular enough anime, you can purchase official merch, which does support the person who created it. Versus when you have, let's say, if Outcast was behind a certain, paywall for whatever reason, let's just say, right? And if you were to read it for free because someone else has like paid for it and taken it and re-uploaded it somewhere else, well, to a certain extent, it's like, cool, yay, you like my stuff. I don't have the ability to have that sort of merch ready to go necessarily, right? It's for you to quote unquote, as I said, make up for it afterwards, just because of the amount of effort that sort of goes into everything like that. So I definitely personally am a little more hesitant. Like I'm actually not more hesitant. I'm more ready to like be on top of us, and it's like, oh, I love this comic creator. Oh, you wrote like you made another comic. Well, I have to pay for it. Yes, here is my $10.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the other thing. It's a lot easier to follow an artist, right? I find that the comics and the things that I really like, I am here for the artist at a certain point. Like, obviously, like, I fell in love with the comic first, but now it's like, yes, I like, you make another comic, I'm there, right? You make another, I'm there. Like, I'm here on your Patreon, on your whatever, like, you know, let's go. I'm watching your streams, your videos, you know, this sort of thing. And that's sort of the environment that we're at now. And that's why streaming is a thing that a lot of people do as creatives, because it gives you that sort of connection that people like to know you.
Exactly. I mean, hell, it's the whole reason I'm on this call right now.
There you go, guys.
But yeah, no, it's important to have that kind of, I guess in a sense, yeah, you're right, where it's going to be, a lot of people do have stuff that is more widely available, and then stuff you kind of have to dig for. And part of it, you can look at it in a way where, like, oh, am I stealing this content? But in another way, you can look at it as, oh, that was free advertisement for that person.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Free advertisement, and just the idea of, like, if it's not accessible any other way, isn't it worth it to be a fan for when it is accessible other ways, like Dungeon Mission,
exactly,
than to not get to experience it at all.
Yeah, and I think that's the big one for me, is that if there's really no, quote, proper way for me to enjoy something, I'll just enjoy it the best way that I can.
Or you find it through this, and then you find the proper way to enjoy it, and you do so because you enjoy it so much.
Exactly.
Try before you buy. None of these are the right size. Okay. We have succeeded, I guess. So everyone getting their stuff done. I know Crimson was working on stuff. Pastry Puff finished their animatic. Lovely. I've been working on I don't know if I think I might have to call it an animation, because I am specifically trying to animate it, of Outcast, slowly.
Oh.
It's like in between, right? It's not like a full-on animation where I'm like going super ham, but it is definitely like, I've been watching a free YouTube animation course and been like, yes. Okay, that's really funny. I don't know if you ever feel this way, Dichotomy, with like writing or anything, but with art, being a specific sort of like hobbyist about it, I definitely refuse in a way to learn basics in a boring way, if that makes sense, right? Animation,
Okay.
They always tell you, like, you take the bouncing ball and they want you to animate the bouncing ball and they want you to like do it and get a fit. And I'm like, no, I want to animate Milano's hair swish now, right? So we're jumping in, we're diving in, because this is where the enjoyment is, right? And I'll figure it out as we go, and I'll watch all those basic videos to be like, oh yeah, squash and scratch, there's your little phone there, right?
Yep,
that was from my whole thing. And it was like, ooh, yes, but I didn't make a fucking ball. I was like, I have this and I'm learning. Same with like VTube modeling and PG. It's like a learn as you go, because I want to be doing it, and that's the fun of it.
Yeah. I think I definitely agree with you in that I don't like to learn new things in a boring way. But to answer your question, I can't necessarily relate when it does come to the writing specifically, because I work within the confines of 5e, and once you've done everything there is, there's not really anything new you need to learn. You just need to apply the things that you've already learned in new and different ways. So, the ceiling is infinitely high. You can do absolutely anything within the confines of these rules, but the floor at the same time is also remarkably low, because it only takes, honestly, a few hours if somebody is dedicated to learn everything there is to know about the system. So I haven't had to necessarily learn brand new things or in a very, very long time within this space.
Yay, Maven! Chapter 1 is almost done. You just gotta keep the ball rolling. It's funny, because it's when I think about, I've always been like a person with a lot of hobbies, right? I can do a lot of things pretty well. I am nearly the embodiment of Jack of all trades, master of none, but better than being a master of one sort of person, right? The amount of things that I could say I can do with relative decent proficiency is a fair amount, but I don't learn them in the conventional way necessarily. Some things I have, but it's like, I learned how to knit. How did I learn how to knit? Because I knit Dylan an octopus. A very large, in-depth octopus. Hello, Nicole. That was my first knitting project ever. So
yeah,
we jumped.
And like I said, I can definitely relate to that in other areas of my life where I can't just start the easy way. I have to dive in head first. I have to experiment on my own. What is a tutorial? I'll figure it out if I want to.
That's what's so wild. I watch the tutorials, but I refuse to do what they say. In the sense of like, I will watch it because this is interesting and this is information. But you tell me to animate the bouncing ball or the flour sack or whatever, and it's like, no, that's fucking boring as hell. And I will sit there and struggle for hours to animate flowy Milano hair and still not particularly enjoy it, though, the internet liked it. And be like, well, that was somehow more fun to me than attempting to sort of learn it first. Though I struggled.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I mean, you're more likely to lose interest in that early stage if you're doing something that is, boring to you. You're not going to want to finish learning if learning isn't fun.
Exactly.
So you've got to keep yourself interested. You got to keep yourself stimulated. You got to
Nicole, this is
Dichotomy. Nicole, it's Dichotomy. I think you were here last time I was on the phone.
At least for a little bit. He was here for the character creation stream to make Lumi Fungleton, as he is the head of Dichotomy Games homebrew community. I don't know, collective.
Collective works, yeah. I usually go with team, but I'm happy with collective.
There you go. That's the word I'm thinking about. Sometimes they just don't happen.
That's fair.
The homebrew 5e homebrew team that made the race that Lumi is.
Yeah.
And
we're not doing D&D things today. I'm just hanging out because there is no Mars and
yes, Mars, how dare she, contracted an illness and still went to work like a dummy and thus left work early because she was dumb and went to work in the first place. But she is resting and taking her sweet recovery time, which honestly, I will say, I know Mars technically doesn't really have control over this, but there has only been one singular time when she's actually gotten sick at what I would say a completely inopportune time. Otherwise, she's done pretty well.
Oh.
Yeah, Pastry Puff. That's exactly it. So it starts backwards, I guess, right? So the Milano hair example is that there is a animation meme, there was a viral sound or whatever going around, and it's just a snippet of a song, and it goes, "You with the dark colors, you with the watercolor eyes," and then it's like, that's it. And so it's like, all right, how do you get views? You make that shit, but you make it with the comic characters, and then people like it, and that's the ticket. And obviously, I like my characters, so it's fun to draw them. But because of it's the whole thing about the hair, it's like, okay, I need to make the fun hair flowing in the wind vibe. So now it's like, okay, struggle, wow, this isn't really working. Go to the internet, how do I make flowy anime hair? And then they're like, okay, you do this and you make the seaweed and yeah, well, fuck that shit. I ain't making the seaweed. We're just going in with the hair now. And it's okay. He looks kind of like a squid because I didn't do it fully. And I don't use a proper animating program because learning new programs is intimidating and I can't.
Yeah.
And so, all of my animation is done in Clip Studio Paint, and it's just frame by frame. Then no fancy shit going on. But yeah, and that's how we got there. And now I'm much more confident in how to animate hair, and thus that allowed me to make the lovely Milano hair swish thing. And that also has it's not called motion blur. It's called something else that I'm blanking on. It has a name. The thing where you have that in-between frame and it like smear frames, that's the word, smear frames. And it has smear frames, and I did that because I did it in the Luke at Me one. I was like, let me try smear frames. And I was like, wow, this did a lot with me doing very little. And I was like, cool. So now we combine that all in another fun Milano animation, and then we get there, and it's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and then I get overly ambitious and try to do one, and then have to cut down on the amount of effort I put in, because I will say sometimes stuff sticks and you can spend hours and hours on it, aka the comic itself, and other times it's like, no, I need this to be done and I need to move on.
That's fair.
Couldn't make... Well, I'll ask this dichotomy. This might... You might feel this. So the comic, Mars and I specifically set it up. Hold on. Why is this not looking right? Oh, I know why. Okay. That line is wrong. Sorry, my brain just farted. I was like, this is not a good line. Okay. Yes. When you sort of have, like, you know, I'm assuming classes are sort of the bigger long-term projects a lot that you work on.
Most definitely.
And some classes probably take way longer than others just based on what class it is and how many features and how much, you know, stuff you're trying to get in there and everything like that. Do you ever find that even if you really like the idea at the beginning and it's going the way you want it to, you just can't, like, you need it to be done. You need to be done with this and move on? Because I found very early on in making the comic, the actual, I think it's the 3rd episode that's uploaded is literally twice as long as any other comic episode that we have. And that was because we had very just first started. We were figuring out literally like how long it takes to do this at all and sort of finding our stride. And I was like partway through this and I'm like, Mars, I don't know why, but this is so draining and I can't do this. And then we counted up the panels. I was like, oh yeah, because this is double the fucking length of the other 2 that I did.
That'll
do it. There's definitely, like, the brain chemicals, at least for me, are very much the like, yes, you have finished a part of it, right? So it's like, I do it where it's like, okay, I've done all the sketches of one comic page. That is an achievement. It drives me, right? I've done all the lines. Achievement. It drives me. If it takes too long to do all of the lines, now I'm in a slump. And now I'm like, oh God, I need it to be done. And I need to move on. And I felt that with, actually, not this entry that I'm working on. It's entry 5, page 10, which was going to be 1 episode, but then I got ambitious and, you know, it's like the big finale of this, like, sort of hiatus section we're gonna have. And so it's like, I got ambitious and I'm like, yeah, I can't make this one solely for the fact that I can't drive myself through to do it if I can't finish one step of it soon.
Exactly. And I mean, I definitely do feel that. I feel like something that we do a lot is we work on something as hard as we can and as long as we can, and if it doesn't get to a point where we're happy with it, we will just put it on the back burner, we will set it aside, work on something else, and come back to that, next week, next month even. I mean, hell, something that we're working on currently is something that we had started, we're in March, honestly, like over a year ago, and kind of lost the motivation to do, and had a bit of a breakthrough, so we pulled it out, we started working on it again, and we definitely have the luxury to be able to do that. Obviously the comic you have to do in order. You can't just be like, well, I don't like this chapter, so I'll do the next one instead. But no, I mean, I definitely do feel that. Thankfully, we've never had to necessarily power through and put out something that we're not happy with. We've always been able to get it to a point to where it's what we like and something that we've enjoyed working on. But eventually we're gonna have to come across that that combination of writer's block and burnout, I guess, where we need to complete a project, and that's a part of being a creative.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely interesting because it's one of those things where it's like, I could work on the comic forever if I could hit those like checklist points.
Yeah.
Right? But the second one of those checklist, same with like the YouTube videos, right? If one of those checklist points takes too long, my brain is just like, and this sucks now. And now this is the worst. This is the worst possible thing we could be doing. How could you do this to me? That's just like, it's just 5 more minutes, or we'll just do it next time. And it's like, no, now it's ruined. It's like, please.
And yes, PCM, I am indeed a phone.
Yeah, I wish he could have been a cooler phone, but
I'm still a cool phone. I'm just not the coolest phone.
Not the coolest phone. If Nicole is still here, and since PCM joined, we'll show off the cool phone one more time.
Ooh.
I mean, because I just did that today with, what I had, so I'm pretty proud of it.
Heck yeah.
Where's downloads? Here we go. Alright. Let's, I think if I start here. Alright, we get cool phone. Cool phone. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna start talking and hope that I catch it at a right time.
Oh, I'm just showing it on the stream.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, I'm not trying to. Oh god, no! I ain't trying to go through all this reacting and stuff again. This is what I wanted it to be, and this was specifically
that bad. It just popped up for me now.
Yeah, sometimes it's pretty rough. Yeah, I can see why you say that, Nicole. Especially the bounce. It's very anime, anime phone vibes. But so I did that specifically to test an idea that I wanted to do for Mars and my avatars for the Streamiversary. However, sadly, it proved to be, 1, way more difficult than I expected, and 2, kind of not feasible in the way that I wanted it to be, which is sad, but c'est la veste and all that. So we can't.
Hey, we tried it. Didn't work out, but it
Dichotomy
was
was my guinea pig.
Happy to be the guinea pig.
Guess I want not that, not whatever I just did. It's not what I want. Alright, guys, as we're winding down, do you guys have any questions? Comic related, vibe related, whatever? Just chillin'? Does Dichotomy have any other questions? Oh, yeah, PCM.
No,
Gotta
actually.
ask a question now.
If you can't think of one for Ori, tell me a question.
Yeah, there you go. You know a lot less about him, so it should be easier.
Exactly.
Okay. I have figured out how this boat worked. Did I figure out how this boat worked?
It is indeed Dichotomy. Class combo we've done. I don't know if you mean like class combo that I've played, because we don't necessarily, you can't really write for a class combo if you mean something like multi-classing. I'll have to ask you to clarify that, Roval. But Nicole, Violet is doing well. She, a while ago, she ran up to me, screamed for treats, so I muted myself and got the treats out and tried to give them to her, and then she just ran away. So, I don't know what's up with her. I still have the treats just sitting on my laptop here in case she comes back soon, but I don't know. And yes, Roval, okay, the most fun multi-class that I've ever played. I'm actually not a huge fan of multi-classing in general. I love just going solo class and taking that as far as I can.
Vibe.
But one that I had a lot of fun with is I played in a one-shot with Catchy Cantrips. If you're familiar with them, they did a series of one-shots, had a ton of fun. Yeah, Nicole, never mute the cat. That's probably true. But yeah, that one shot that I joined them for, I played part druid, part monk. I jokingly called it a drunk, but it was actually a ton of fun. I did Circle of the Wildfire for druid, so I had some fire synergy there. Believe I played a satyr with that. It was great to have a little bit faster movement speed out of the race, and then even more movement speed out of monk to complement the support style of the wildfire druid.
Pastry Puff. Yes, I have had the avatars done for investigations. I have actually had them done since before last week's stream, just in case that was what we were going to do. I basically had everything but the turnabout tier list ready for last stream, so we could do anything. And we obviously didn't need either, but I will show you one of them. And Dylan doesn't have a new one because he's Edgeworth, and Edgeworth looks the same, at least to my knowledge. So you can see either Mars or my avatar tonight. I'll show it off.
Interesting. Also, PCM, that's just because the emoji has been updated. The old one was holding a banana. Very clearly. I'm sure I can find proof somewhere. I've probably got a screenshot.
You have to save the evidence. Law of the internet.
Yeah, true. I didn't expect the emote to change. That's the thing.
Ugh.
But the old one, very clearly, did have a banana.
See, you gotta save all of your memes.
Yeah.
Oh, whew. I thought I had way more to go, but I do not. It's just a lot of blip at the end.
Oh, yo, was it actually Catchy that did that? That's awesome. I mean, obviously, I know that you're a fan of the Tatoes because, obviously. But I didn't know that they actually did the Banana Fairy.
Yes, PCM. Now he says it on stream, live. Can come back faster.
I don't know. You say she's not the banana fairy, but to me, she will always be the banana fairy.
And guys, Pastry Puff doesn't have to be the only one to choose. If no one says, I'm not gonna show him. You gotta pick Ori or Mars.
If chat doesn't soon, then I'll just flip a coin or something. I mean, I still use the term "flip a coin" when I know that I'm going to be rolling a d6 to determine.
Well, we're saying Ori. Is there anybody? Oh yeah, I did say that. I'm sorry. You could choose Pastry Puff. We have one vote for Ori. It's Ori or Mars, because Dylan's is the same.
I'm gonna vote for Dylan's just to be like, there you go, you get to show them the same one.
We're here. It's Ori. We will show Ori's avatar. Current avatars. This one. Okay.
I suppose it would be rude to show off Mars's when she's not here.
Alright. This is mine. I'm Shilong Lang. It was a very long name that I kept messing up when I kept trying to spell it.
I am still waiting on stream delay.
Oh,
this
I'm
is
sorry.
so bad.
It's okay. It means chat won't see it until either.
Well, no, I think it's probably just worse for me because I'm watching the stream and on the call at the same time.
Well, you feel it more, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, wow, that looks spectacular.
Thank you. I will say, they had very, very detailed character designs this time around compared to any of the other ones. So, it was certainly an undertaking.
Is the, I'm not familiar with the character. Is the white fuzzy thing like a white fuzzy vest, or is that attached to the rest of the...
So it's a coat, so he has, like, a shirt... And then he has, like, a coat that has the fur trim. I'll show the actual character.
Gotcha. No, I'm seeing it now, yeah.
No, I'll still show him, because I chose him because he's very good looking. I called, out of the two characters I called him because, like, you know, he's totally and all that. I'm not 100% on how I'm gonna voice him, but I will do a good job. I hope.
Oh, of course you will.
Well, okay, right now I only have 2 man voices, and one of them is Phoenix. Oh, wait. I have 3 man voices now. Because I have made Ferrix. I voice Ferrix in the comic dub, and his is Phoenix E, but it's different. However, that voice has now been designated to be my Apollo Justice voice, because that was my biggest concern. And,
right.
But, now I think that's perfect. My other voice is a British lilt to it, and, that's kind of, saved for, Ryunosuke from, the Great Ace Attorney, because to my understanding he is British. He's got a British accent as well. So it's kind of safe for that. So he needs to get on. So Shilong Lang needs to get a new that I don't know how that'll go, but we'll see. That's the ticket. Yeah, see, there you go. So my other 2 men voices are he doesn't have a British accent, but some people give it to him. Well, if he's living there, you kind of adopt it sometimes. Like, I know I follow this one woman.
Sure.
She's Vietnamese, and she, you know, speaks Vietnamese. But she, her fiance is German, and so she's lived in Germany for like 2 or 3 years now. I can't remember. A significant amount of time. And she knew English before, and she knows, Vietnamese, and she's learning German. But her English is spoken with an accent that the German fiance speaks English in. So while she doesn't speak Vietnamese with, a German accent, she speaks it with like the native accent. When she speaks English, it's definitely a German English accent, which is wild to think about. So I think that it is by far, and a lot of this actually happens to a lot of people. You see a lot of people who like learn English in Britain. When they speak English, they have a British accent. So if Ryunosuke learns English in the UK, he would have a British accent. There's a VTuber, his name is Merryweather. I bet some of you know who he is. I feel like he's Danish. He's something up there. I can't remember exactly. But he learned English in like another country. So he has like a weird accent as well, like when he speaks English. So it's like a whole very interesting thing where it matters where you learn the language and who you learn the language from. That makes it what accent you speak that language in, if that language has regional accents, right? Or dialects.
Yep.
So it's like if you were to come to, Southern America, you would probably have a Southern accent when you spoke English, because that's how you learn to speak English. That's wild, isn't it? It's very mixed for sure. I feel like if you learn it on like if most of what you hear is like varied greatly, I don't know what you would end up with. I'm talking about people who specifically like went to school to learn or specifically interact with one type of like accent a lot. This is really funny. Okay, so my parents are going, this is like the last story I'll say because we're getting late. But my parents are going to Spain for a week and a half trip. And so I'm Hispanic on my father's side. His mother is fully Hispanic, and then so he's half, and then so I'm here. But we, have a lot of the culture still and everything, and she's fluent. I wouldn't say, and again, this could just be bias, she might have a little bit of of an accent when she speaks English that like leans into like Puerto Rican or Chilean or whatever. But my father certainly doesn't, and I certainly don't. However, both my father and I, who are not fluent in Spanish, who have never, lived in a Spanish country, never done like an immersion, sort of like a Spanish-speaking country, never done any sort of like true like immersion into try and like become fluent in the language, just taken like classes in school and stuff, constantly are praised on our like accent being close to native by native speakers that I've worked with, like, native speakers that have been the ones teaching and everything. And I think it just has something to do with how my grandmother speaks. That we just kind of have it there automatically, that we feel easy into it. And so it really does matter, like, who you interact with, sort of how you speak any language. And that's why you can have like different accents from wherever you learn the language and whoever you learn it from. Very interesting.
Makes perfect sense.
Watched a lot of British YouTubers growing up. That was funny. I don't know if you remember, probably not Pastry Puff, but if anybody remembers Dan and Phil, they're still on the internet. Dan is on fire and Phil is something. I don't remember what it is. But they're both British. They live in England. But Dan has a very, very posh British accent compared to Phil, who has like a very, classically normal like London Dan's is very, very posh. And his explanation for this is he watched a lot of Winnie the Pooh, who has a very, very posh British accent. And he specifically talked like Winnie the Pooh as a child. And that now that is his accent. And that he was like made fun of as a child for having like such
That's
a posh
fantastic.
accent because he watched so much Winnie the Pooh.
Absolutely love that.
Yeah, it's probably pretty wild, Nicole. Probably that's a lot of different going on. Even just between American and Australian. So wild. Well, there you go. You can't see it as much when you type, because a lot of written English is pretty similar. But it's definitely when you speak. But alright, guys. I think that's where we'll wrap up. We go to the
Sounds
ending.
like a plan.
No
Thank you
dichotomy
for
on the
having
ending
me, I'll
screen.
say.
Yeah, no, of course. Thanks for coming out. Glad you definitely made it a lot easier to get through these 2 hours.
It's already a
3
disembodied
hours.
voice. And
You're
now
already
I'm
a disembodied
disembodied
voice. It's okay. You get your name on the screen, so
That's
I think
true.
You just become a name instead. But yes,
I'll
thank you
take
all
it.
for coming out. We will be doing. What am I doing on Thursday? I think it's PC Emoji Code Break. That's what it is on Thursday. Dichotomy won't be here, but I don't know whether
Sadly.
Mars will be here or not either. So show up and keep me company. All right. Yeah, that's it. Friday will be guaranteed Dichotomy. I know you felt miffed, spoofed, duped last time.
Not
I felt
genuinely
duped that-
upset. I was
no, I
just giving
know.
you a hard time.
No, but we were duped by chat thinking that somehow we would get through that amount of content and still have time to play Smasher Pass. But we will 100% be playing Smasher Pass on Friday for Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations, and almost definitely, but not guaranteed, see the fine print, playing the beginning of Ace Attorney Investigations, which will be very, very fun. So we hope to see you all there. If not, have a lovely rest of your week. And yeah, good night, everyone.
Good night to everyone.